Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
Got the wrong guy, and the dog was biting him.
He roughing him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
You will bring the jury.
Alex stole it. And Alex Murdoch stole it. Alex stole it as well.
Apparently, Alec Murdoch stole my sound effect this morning, this afternoon. I couldn't find it. Where did it go? Oh, here it is. 9 out of 10 judges prefer watching the Recovery Addict live stream in their courtroom. All right, there it is. You heard it. Welcome back to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict. Hopefully, we're able. You know, don't like podiums. Hopefully, we're able to clear your mind a little bit and maybe get some lunch. So. Hopefully everybody had a wonderful lunch. Melissa Webb, congratulations being first in chat this afternoon. You, my friend, did a good thing. You showed up first and you said hi, and for that we're going to punish you. That's right, we're going to make you internet owner for the rest of the afternoon. I'm not going to argue about semantics. All right, poll, who had chicken for lunch? I couldn't. I had to have ham. I did a sandwich with plenty of lettuce. So, did a sandwich with pickles, of course, because I do actually enjoy pickles. I'm ready. I'm ready for part 2. Part 2. If that's a thing. Part 2. Let's get ready to come back to court here. Let me see. We have our counter, which we have up. Now, the counter has not been moving very much. And I understand that, but I think it's worth, just wait for it is what I'm saying. Wait for it. Because the counter, which I think is right there, is the Jim McIntyre counter, which I think is going to be maybe, I think over 75 in this trial is what I'm going for. I think it'll be over 75. So just
sent me a video of roaches fighting.
Just hang in there. The Jim McIntyre references will start flying, especially towards the end of the trial. All right, where are we at? We've had a number of witnesses on the stand. We still have the lead investigator on the stand, who I believe is still going to be recounting how the totality of her body was found and where, and the condition it was in. It's been a little bit rough. Let me say that this must be horrific for the family to hear. Obviously, they knew these facts already at this point. They're not hearing for the first time during trial, but it is pretty bad. It's pretty bad. But Mr. Brett Dickerson or Dickinson, one of the two, the Brett Dickinson. Here we go. From GBI is still going to be on the stand. He has an amazing Southern accent. He talks with a quiet voice and could probably be a ventriloquist if he put his mind to it, because his mouth does not move a lot. But he is easy to listen to, unless he's talking about chicken wings. That part was hard. So, anyway, not Christopher Walken. No, not Christopher Walken. Love that. Need more cowbell. I love the reference there. Let's see. I had Pepto-Bismol for lunch. Mr. Fix-It, that's funny. All right. I forgot. I'm not on the right chat. I was on live or top chat instead of live chat. Kelly H gifted a membership to kick things off, and Bite Me as well. Thank you, both of you. Quite generous way to start the afternoon here with welcoming somebody else to the channel. So I wasn't a fan of chicken wings before today, but now it's a no-go for me. The problem I have with chicken wings is there's nothing to them. It's like It's all bone. There's like no meat there. You get a ton of sauce and no meat. So, Virginia, are you late coming back? No, you're good. Tisha S says, I finally got a job. I'll be on the replay crew while I'm in training. Tisha, congratulations. That is awesome. Glad you're happy. Hope you enjoy it. Hope they pay you much more than you're worth, which is a lot. So, yeah, who is Jim McIntyre? And attorney Tasha, this is the question we all have. Who is Jim McIntyre? And tell us more about him. We're going to hear about Jim McIntyre primarily from the defense, maybe a little bit from the prosecution, in that they have not been able to find who Jim McIntyre is. He doesn't work for the FBI. There's no record of him ever anywhere in relation to this case and the things that he's being reported to have done or said or been done, all that stuff. Jim McIntyre, I believe, is a figment of the defendant's imagination, or maybe his alter ego, something like that, his alternate identity. Mike Jones, yeah. We're going to hear more about Jim McIntyre, but it'll come up here in trial.
The apocalypse may be upon us.
Yay, we are back. Red Pen, thanks for being here. Appreciate you. I know I'm supposed to show Red. I always forget. Hang on, let's see if I can do this right now before anything. Let's go to menu. No, that's not it. Where's the group? How do I switch groups? I'm looking for Red Pen's group, which I somehow cannot find anymore. I'm supposed to show you a design that she made for Ayden for his company, which we named together last week. I can't find it, Red. This Canva thing is it's harder than you think. Okay, I've got 9 messages. There we go. Red Pen shared something with me. I'm going to go to Red Pens. It's just, that's not it.
In front of the Walmart.
Red Pen, I cannot get there. I don't know why.
There's nothing in the order that restrains you from talking to cats.
Thank you. When are we going to break for lunch, Judge?
Let's see.
Have them send someone with more experience.
I've got like the Bad Neighbor trial. I've got the Robert Tellis. We've got the bench jumper trial, Ohio v. Madden. People versus Tanner Cody. I'm seeing all those, but I just can't find I can't send you a new invite. I'm looking. I'm looking. Let me check the trash. Not that I would have put it there. It's just sometimes my phone puts things in the wrong places. Red Pen. Look, there it is.
Shame on you, sir.
Canva. All right. Now I need to figure out how to get this over to my computer.
I think I'm about to catch a whooping. Oh.
I can't create a public view link. Oh, I've copied it. Let's see. We're almost there, Red Pen. Whew. This is tough. All right. Now we're cooking with fire. Okay. Here we go. Here are our is Red Pen's nominations for Ivan's goat weeding, amazing grazing business. This one over here says got weed, And you can see we've got a mullet and yeah, it's looking good. An amazing graze in there, an amazing graze in there. I'm not sure which one he's going to go with. One of them definitely seems like it's talking about something other than, I think you might have to say weeds. Got weeds instead of weed. But anyway, good work on those. Got weed. Are you giving out weed as well? It's like a dual business. No, his goats are going to be eating weeds. Number 1 is the best.
I'm not going to argue about semantics here.
As a graphic designer, number 2 will work best for branding. Middle one for me. There you go. Is this a cover up for weed operation? No, it's not. It's not. It's pretty funny. Love the middle one, more fitting for Ivan, and it makes more sense to me now. Weeding, not scraping.
There's nothing in the order that restrains you from talking to cats.
Okay.
All right, we are just a couple minutes away from starting. Actually, we're right now away from starting. Any second now, they're going to go ahead and call the court to order, and we're going to return back to the courtroom. The middle one looks like Ivan. I she did a great job of capturing the essence of Ivan, for sure.
In front of the Walmart.
Guess those were vetoed. We're back. We're coming back. The seal of the state of Georgia, a little bland, if I say so myself. A little sort of two-dimensional. It's quite flat. Constitution, justice, wisdom, and moderation. Got the 1776 state of Georgia. There's just not much to it. Who's the person? Who's the person with the sword? I have to ask. You Georginians could say that. You could say got grass. That works. Wisdom is wrong on the way it is around the pillar. Oh, it's very wrong. It's terrible. Anyway, as we get ready and get started, we're having issues. WizMod is how it would be. It was a terrible design. Say it again. It's crooked. Most of this courtroom's crooked. The cameras are not quite level. Aaron Blackman, wow, says, "Are you ready to see what the defense attorney has in store?" He got one of the YSL co-defendants acquitted on his charges. I believe he said in an interview with a lawyer that he's primarily a civil attorney and has done less than 10 criminal trials. Wow. I think he's plenty of experience, though. Lizzie Dog says, as a graphic designer, I do not approve. Lizzie, you'd have to... It's one of those things you can't complain unless you present an alternative. You're going to have to submit an alternative for Ivan to look at. Sidebar is not working again. Wait for it. I'll fix it.
Okay.
Okay, says the judge.
All right, now they can.
Let's fix the sidebar. We'll be back in just a second. Why would sidebar stop? Listen. Ooh. I see what happened. Hang on. I lost connection to Big Dill. My hard drive. It's on the wrong network. Sorry, I just fixed something technically, which I'm pretty proud of. But there's our defendant there on the screen as he gets ready for part 2 of day 1.
When we stopped for the lunch break, I believe we had just concluded the initial crime scene. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And just to be clear, did there come a time that you subsequently returned to that location on December 5th of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and when you returned to that location, I'm going to slide number 26. I would ask that this be published. Can you see that on your screen, sir?
It's working.
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful. Can you tell the jury, why did you return on December 5th again?
Yes, ma'am. We had, excuse me, other partners join with us in the search that day, including members of a cadaver dog team. These dogs are trained to locate basically human remains in a state of decomposition. And they're very useful for large wooded areas like this. We also had aviation unit in the area and other agencies assisting us as well with the search of the ground.
And can you tell us what's depicted in slide number 26?
This is a portion of a woods road that kind of loops around to the east off of Jones Road. It's called Bear Hammock Road. It's not a public lane, it's a privately maintained drive, but it's in the same general vicinity. It's about 2.5 miles from the location where the torso was found.
Okay, so it's in the same wooded area, but about 2.5 miles away?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Okay, and is that 2.5 miles, for lack of a better way to say it, as the crow flies, or driving?
I'd have to refer to my notes. It's about 2.8, if I remember correctly, driving.
Okay, so it's a little bit closer as the crow flies, but driving it was just a tad farther.
Correct.
Okay, but that's now about 2.5 miles from where the torso was recovered?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you were present for that recovery on that date?
Yes, ma'am. I was actually called after the leg was found, but
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So you discussed earlier finding versus recovering. Who found the leg, to your knowledge?
One of the cadaver dog teams was searching the area, and the dog did a great job. He did what he was supposed to do, and located that particular portion of her remains.
Okay. Can you tell the jury how far from the edge of this roadway was that leg recovered?
Not very far, about 30 feet or so, maybe a little farther, but not much farther.
Okay. Was that farther than the torso was recovered from the roadway?
Yes, ma'am.
By a
It
little?
was-
By a lot?
Just by a little. Well, it wasn't within sight of the road. You could not see the leg where it had been placed in the woods from the roadway. You had to actually enter the wood line, and then you could see it after you walked in.
Now, looking at the woods, were they heavily forested enough that you could take a car there, or would you only have been able to go on foot?
You'd have to walk in here on foot. You might be able to get an ATV in some places, but this was a young stand of planted pines.
Okay. And would it be fair to say that those trees are close together?
They are.
Okay. So you couldn't just drive through it?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And specifically, slide number 26, does that depict that roadway?
Yeah, Bear Hammock Road, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
This is looking to the south-southwest.
Now, some of the roads, well, let me back up. I'll withdraw. Do all of the roads have names?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So Bear Hammock had a name.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know if the Torso Road had a name?
Not that I'm aware of. At the time, it was just a wooded lane. We used Global Positioning System, or GPS coordinates, to identify the specific location where the torso was located, and then where the other body parts were located as well.
If you have rural areas, can you explain why GPS coordinates are an option?
Well, for privately maintained roads like this, not all of them are named. So they may be on survey maps, but they may close if an area is logged, and the new roads may be made, old roads may be damaged, or their use may be discontinued. So with the exception of private roads, sometimes GPS coordinates are just the most accurate way to record where an incident took place or where an item of evidence was located.
Would that include a longitude and a latitude coordinate? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And were those taken for each of these recoveries?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, in the following image, well, let me back up. This image, is this at ground level?
No, ma'am.
How was this captured?
This was a drone photograph.
Okay, and would that be the 400 feet or less that you were referring to earlier?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and who would have manned those drones at the time of these incidents?
I took this photograph.
Okay, and is that the way it looked on December 5th of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and now I'm going to actually turn off the monitors for the next slide. Slide number 27. Thank you.
What did we just see?
I recognize that this is very far away, comparatively. Was this a drone photo or some other photo?
My screen's blank.
Oh. Then we need Ms. Billings, Your Honor, to turn that off.
Fetch the Miss Billings.
Or
Brady, could you step back to chambers and see if Miss Billings is available, please?
Miss Billings is our IT professional on scene here.
my apologies, Your Honor.
Just gonna take a quick peek and look at what was shown us. Okay. So we saw something similar to this. The net label on here, that's the interesting, the label DJI 0435 means that he was using a DJI drone, which is a Chinese manufacturer that makes a lot of drones. They're what they call consumer or maybe sometimes prosumer drones. One of the most prolific brands in drones. I've owned 3 or 4 DJI drones over the years, but 400 feet up. Look at the map. Gives you an idea of the area. You can see from the trees just the line, the rows in the trees. These are planted intentionally that way. They're planted at the proper distance, get maximum growth as quick as possible, utilizing as much space as possible, because tree farming is all about money and harvest. You want to utilize the whole land and get as much as you can from it. But planting trees like this, usually it takes 40 years from time of planting to when you can harvest it. So you only get 1 or 2 harvests in a lifetime, which is, for farmers, you've got to be pretty patient for that crop.
I'm on slide number 26 still, so that in case we have some difficulty.
Okay, I have it back up now, so it should just be...
Can you see what's up there?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this time, then I'm going to move to slide number 27. Can you see what's depicted in that slide?
I can.
And what is depicted in that slide?
This is a portion of the west part of Bear Hammock Road. It's a little difficult to see in the photograph, but if you'll look around the middle and a little bit to the left of center, you can see Mindy's left leg where it was recovered.
Is that what I've now zoomed into?
Yes, ma'am. It's in the center of the screen now.
Is that, in fact, vehicles that are on that roadway?
That is.
And what vehicles are those?
I believe that's Agent Sand's Tahoe there in front, and that's my truck behind it.
Those are the vehicles that you see to the left of the screen?
That's correct.
Okay. And I'm now turning to slide number 28. Can you tell us what's depicted there?
Yes, ma'am. Again, this is an overhead view of the location of the left leg where it was recovered.
And these shots, were these taken before any manipulation of the recovered items is occurring?
Correct. The cadaver dog team located the leg and then notified us immediately. We responded and then started the documentation process then.
Okay. And when you took these drone photographs, that was from above, not having moved these items, so they would have been where they were initially found?
This is where it was found, yes.
I'm now going to slide number 29. And what is depicted in this slide?
That's Mindy's left leg.
Okay. Would that be fair to say that's simply a ground level shot?
It is.
Okay. And who took that shot?
I did.
And this is again before it was moved?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And slide number 30. What's depicted there, sir?
This is Minnie's left foot. This damage to her area of her toes and her foot is consistent with animal predation or rodent activity, in my experience.
Okay. And so that would have been not necessarily something human done, but rather animals that were unfortunately in the woods?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I'm now going to slide number 31.
Animals live there.
Can you tell us what's depicted here?
This is the top of the thigh. In the middle there you see the femur that's been cut through. And the grainy substance there was a colonization of maggots that occurred by the time we reached the leg.
So when you get to the leg that we're looking at in this picture, that was December 5th of 2022, correct?
That's correct.
So how many days had passed since the day that the torso was first recovered?
So the torso was recovered on the 2nd of December, and this was the 5th of December, so several days had passed.
So approximately 3 days had gone by?
Yes, ma'am.
And in that time, this is what was observed when you got there on the 5th?
Yes, ma'am. This is as we discovered the leg.
And
this is the condition it was in.
My apologies.
It's fine. This is the condition the leg was in as we discovered it.
What is that white marker that you see just below that leg?
That's a scale.
Okay.
Placed there for reference, for size.
Okay. And when you made the observation of those insects at that location, can you tell the jury what, if anything, you did in addition to simply photographing this image?
So part of our training, we always try to determine a time of death. It's very difficult to do, and usually after about 72 hours, one of the best ways to do that is through forensic entomology. What that is, we'll have experts in the area of insect science who are able to take samples either that we collect or that they collect themselves, and then are able to determine different things like what species of insect has colonized the remains, and then using very well established standards for how long these insects take to basically go through their life cycle. They can then determine what they call a minimum time in which, a minimum post-mortem interval, I believe is what they call it, which is just the earliest possible time that the remains could have been colonized by insects. So obviously we know she wasn't colonized when she was alive. That would have happened after she died. So in this case, we collected a sample of the maggots that were on her legs and then submitted them to a scientist at Georgia Southern University for study.
I apologize. Can you please describe to the jury what you had to do?
So we were given many tools to work with in the crime scene program. Nobody gave me a maggot collection device, so unfortunately I just used a gloved hand to collect a representative sample of the maggots and then placed them inside of a plastic case and sealed them inside of a glove, and then we were able to preserve that sample later on for study.
While you were collecting this sample, were you, without telling us what was said, were you speaking to anyone?
I did contact, my training in forensic entomology came from Dr. Edward Mondor at Georgia Southern University, who's, to my knowledge, is the only practicing forensic entomologist in Georgia. And I've had a workshop with him and trained under him specifically. I was able to contact him, and subsequently I was able to collect and preserve, or we were able to collect and preserve as a team a sample of the maggots from the leg.
And that collection process, did you discuss that with Dr. Mondor as you were doing it in real time?
No, he explained to me the process is actually very simple. It's not a complicated process to preserve maggots for study in this manner. It's distasteful again, but we take the representative sample of the maggots and then we pour boiling water over them. This kills them and essentially freezes them in place in time. We document that date and time and the conditions that were surrounding the collection. And then after the maggots are dead, we can pour that water off and then preserve them in alcohol. And then once they're preserved, they last pretty much indefinitely.
And that procedure, was that discussed with Dr. Mondor to ensure that you were complying with what was required on his end?
That's correct.
Okay. And did you follow those instructions?
Yes.
And
Well,
as a team?
I
that
did
is,
not
of
myself,
course.
but as a team we did.
Okay. So there were other people that assisted?
Correct.
Okay. But you're the one that actually did the collecting?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And were those preserved beyond Dr. Mondor? Meaning after, let me back up, withdrawn. Did you provide them to anyone after you collected them?
I collected the sample at the scene, and at the time, Assistant Special Agent in charge, Lindsay Smith of our office, responded. I met her, passed the sample off to her, and she was able to subsequently perform that procedure to make sure that they were preserved.
So she boiled them?
She did.
Yes. And then did you receive them back from her?
I did. They were logged into evidence, and I eventually hand-delivered them to Dr. Mondor and passed them off to him so he could conduct his study.
Did you receive them back from Dr. Mondor after he completed his study?
I did.
And did those get preserved for trial in court here today?
They did.
Are they here with us?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We're going to pass around boiled
I'm
maggots.
now showing slide number 32. We can turn the monitors back on. Can you tell us what's depicted in slide number 32?
This is a small strip of gray plastic, and it was located along a path. It should be noted that the left leg, when we found it, was not just, nobody just pushed their way through brush to put it. It was actually like a game path or an animal path that was already there. Again, I've hunted for many years, and I can recognize where deer walk through the woods, and this was something that was already there. The leg was discarded along this path. In between the leg and the road, it was only a short distance, and this strip of plastic was found there, and it looked to me a lot like the plastic strip that was included in the drawstring of a plastic bag, such as the one that we found at the original crime scene.
And that would have been where the corner of the roadway by where the torso intersected with Jones Road?
Yes, ma'am. That was a black plastic bag that had the clothing and the cleaning wipes in it. It had a similar drawstring strip in it.
Okay. But you didn't find a second bag, did you?
No, ma'am.
Now I'm going to slide number 33. Did you insert some of these slides to assist yourself in your testimony here today?
I did.
And I'm now going to slide number 34. Can you tell the jury what's depicted in slide number 34?
This is looking south on Jones Road. You should be able to see, I believe, the pumping station for a local water municipality. They're kind of close to the top. But
You're referring to up there, sir?
correct. And behind the camera, so to speak, or behind the camera's point of view would be the original crime scene with the intersection of Hunting Road and Jones Road. So the first drone shot that you saw, the very first one that looked north that showed the Hunting Club Road, this would be basically the mirror image of it. This would be the
Looking the opposite direction?
Correct.
Okay. And so how far approximately is that pumping station or the building from where the intersecting road was, approximately?
So you guys are embracing this.
It has been measured much more precisely than this, I guess, half a mile or so. Not
Okay.
far.
So that car, if rather withdrawn, the pumping station that was down there, you would drive down this roadway to get to where the road cut for the torso?
If you came in from that direction, you'd have to pass there.
Okay. I'm now going to slide number 35. Can you tell us what's depicted here?
That's a gray plastic storage container. A lot of people call them totes.
Okay. Would you call them rubberized tubs too?
Sure.
Okay. And this particular tub, where did you see it first?
So this was also a cadaver dog team find. The team was walking along the path here, and one of the dogs pulled them off the road into the edge of the wood line, and they discovered this, looked inside, and decided to contact us to respond to the area, and we did.
And did you photograph that?
I did.
Had that been moved, or was it, do you recall where that was originally observed?
This particular item of evidence was where it was found. This is depicted as it was located.
That's where you ultimately saw it?
Correct.
Okay. But there were other people there before you, meaning the cadaver dog team, correct?
Right.
Okay. And the next photograph, that being slide number 36, can you tell us what's there?
And that's just a little bit more close-up shot. Same tub, walking up to it. It wasn't very far off the side of the roadway, so this would have only just been a couple of steps off the side of the dirt road.
Okay. Did there come a time when you did anything with respect to this tub?
So when we looked inside the tub did have an amount of water in the bottom, a couple of inches. There were some leaves and other debris inside. However, there was a reddish brown substance that was kind of stuck to the side or adhered to the insides of the edge of the tub, and it appeared to be blood, so we decided to test it with a field test kit.
So I'm going to now show you slide number 37. Would that be a view inside the tub of what you just described?
It is.
And specifically, I'm referring to the interior portion of that tub. Can you see that?
I do.
And is that what you were just describing to the jury?
It is.
And did you do anything with respect to what you observed inside of that tub?
Well, again, because we don't have opportunities to go back and preserve evidence or collect evidence that we may have gotten, we decided to pour the water off that was inside the tub and go ahead and let it dry a little bit. But we poured the water out through some filter paper and collected that filter paper and some paper towels with it, and then collected the filter paper and the towels as evidence.
Why would you do that?
Well, I can't store, and that water would take a long time to dry. And again, once you let water and evidence sit together, you start having problems with mold and mildew, and then you start having potential damage to DNA evidence. And we trying to preserve the evidence, you have to dry it.
So by pouring it through the filter paper, what were you hoping to accomplish?
Just in case there was any trace evidence or anything inside the container that could be analyzed later at the lab, we decided to err on the side of caution and filter the water through first.
Okay. And did you take any swabs with respect to this tub?
We did. We took a swab of the inside that reddish brown stains on the inside and exposed it to a phenolphthalein test kit.
Now, you have said we several times. When you say we...
My apologies, I.
Okay, so it was you that was doing these processes, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And did you, in fact, at some point do a blood presumptive test, the phenolphthalein test that you referred to?
I did. I also did an OBTI test.
Okay. I'm now showing you slide number 38. What does that show?
The test kit on the right there is the phenolphthalein. And again, it's showing a positive result there for blood in the mixture of the sample that we collected. And on the left, there's the OBTI test strip that's also showing a positive result for human blood.
And that boot print, just so we're sure?
That's that's either myself or one of the respondents. This area had been rained on heavily. There was no chance of there being footwear impressions left with the amount of rainfall that had been in that area, not in dirt.
Just wanted to make sure that we were being clear for the jury. Those potentially are your footprints or
They
one of the other
probably are.
officers.
Right.
Okay. And so that was not in some way evidence in connection with this case?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And I'm now going to ask you, each of the blood tests that you referred to, that being the first series of tests that you took and then the second series, what did you do with those swabs?
So the swabs themselves that are used are consumed by the testing process. So those wouldn't be things that we would take with us. However, the original evidence itself would go with us and remain with us. We just document the results of the presumptive kits because, again, those are just guides. We're going to have follow-up testing at the lab later on to let us know definitively what is in that tub and what's not.
So when you say the ones that were not preserved, you're talking about the one that's inside of this little packet, is that correct?
That's right.
And were there additional swabs taken and made available ultimately to the crime laboratory, or was it the actual tub itself?
In this case, both of the tubs that were recovered were conveyed to the crime lab for testing.
Okay, so they had the ability to take the actual tub itself for additional testing?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm now going back to slide 39. Would that be the end of your collection at that location?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you see here in slide number 40?
So one of the partners that we had working with us that day was the Department of Natural Resources game warden who handled what's called an article dog. Article dogs detect items with human scent in places where human scent is not supposed to be. So I'll give you an example. When I first met this particular dog handler, I asked him how his dog worked, and he had me throw my pocket knife into the woods, and the dog found it just a few minutes later. So the dog can detect human scent. In this case, we conducted another search of the original crime scene just to make sure there wasn't any other pieces of items of evidence that we could have missed. And the canine identified some torn pieces of clothing that were behind where that original plastic bag was located at the crime scene. And so we went ahead and collected those pieces of cloth and preserved them.
Were there any lids recovered with these tubs?
So I was not present for the collection or the recovery of a lid. However, there was a lid recovered.
Okay. And was that preserved?
It was.
Okay. I just want to make sure I'm clear, though. You did not actually process it, right?
No, ma'am. It was packaged and taken to the crime lab for processing.
Okay. So, before I move forward, I'm going to show you what I have marked as 1.1a through 1.1tt. These have been previously shown to counsel. Your Honor, may I approach you? Yes, ma'am. I'm handing you a stack of photographs. I'd like you to just take a look at them.
Hopefully we get to see some of these. Cross would be like, do you work with Jim McIntyre?
Yes, ma'am. I've looked at them.
Okay. Do you recognize what's in those?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It's a big deck of photos.
Barring the image like the one that you see right now in slide number 41, are those a fair and accurate duplication in a actual photograph form of what is on that PowerPoint in 1.1 in evidence?
Yes, ma'am. These are digital, physical prints of the digital photographs that I took.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, I would seek to introduce them so that they may be available to the jury subsequently if needed.
No objection.
All right, they are admitted.
Your Honor, I'd like to just publish them in their entirety to the panel.
Oh, that's fine.
Thank you.
Did she hand a stack to them? John, you're right. Usually direct is not allowed to lead unless there are certain circumstances in place. But the judge is not the one, even if the judge recognizes this leading question, the judge does not call the shots. He only calls the foul if the other side says, hey, they're doing it wrong. And he's like, yep, you're right. They are. Stop. So they did. It appears they did hand the jury a stack of photos, which are now being passed around like in a third grade classroom for show and tell. Haven't heard any reports of the jury yet, but this has got to be a tough case to sit on. The details are not good. I agree. The witness is doing a better job about being respectful to the victim than the prosecutor is. Little example, calling it Torso Road. I think that's just in bad taste. It might be several minutes as the jury reviews all these. Wonder how many people in the jury are thinking, yeah, you warned me that this was going to be a tough case, but this is so much worse than I imagined. Evangeline Light, we're in Georgia right now. This is the trial of Nicholas Kassotis. He is a Navy JAG lawyer accused of murdering and dismembering his second wife and spreading her remains over about a 3-mile area of a hunting preserve in Georgia, across 2 counties. Defense is saying this is a circumstantial case and you're not going to hear any evidence that really pins him to the crime. Prosecution says it's going to be easier than you think to do that when you put together the blood that they found at the scene of the Airbnb they were staying at the time she was murdered. The fact that his car was tracked to that area at the time her body was dumped. We've got video of him buying the knife that matches the knife that appears to be used to help dismember her. Totes, shovel, everything. It's crazy. Evangeline Lights, yeah, it sounds really good. It's a tough one. This has some interesting facts, and I think what might shine throughout this case is something that's mentioned a couple times in the opening, that is the defendant's propensity for lying, for fibbing, for making up stories. And he appears to have done that with one Jim McIntyre, who was on the counter. First wife, they divorced, Amber's mom. They divorced, and possibly because of this Jim McIntyre, who he had created this story about, somebody Jim was warning them about that they were in danger and they had to do XYZ because people were coming after them, and Jim had all this money for them. Possibly those stories are what led to him, the defendant, being ordered to pay his ex-wife in his first marriage $1.5 million of this money that Jim McIntyre is about to deliver. It never showed up. The money never showed up, and neither has Jim. Nobody has seen Jim. Shadowy FBI figure, supposedly. Sounds like something out of a fiction book, or maybe one of Mr. Kassotis' Reddit horror story posts. Fictional. I believe he's fictional. I have not heard any evidence that would indicate that he is a real person. Melissa, I do not know the family situation with any of his 3 wives. I have not heard that at all. Jim is in the wind. Jim might be the wind. just joined us wondering what the quiet is, the jury has been handed a big stack of pictures, photos taken at the crime scene. By crime scene, they're talking about where the body was discovered, or the different portions of her body were discovered over a 3-mile area of a hunting preserve in 2 counties. And they're flipping through the pictures. There are 14 jurors who will be viewing the pictures, 16 jurors, 12 jurors, and 4 alternates. Red pan. Too soon. Rona, I wish I was, so that he could, loan a relative some money, but no, not related. He's a funny guy, though. Maybe Jim is related to him. So how do we know how to spell McIntyre? Well, it happens to be my last name, so I gave it a go. Can you imagine if Jim walks into court? Okay, Dr. Bullbetter. That would be insane. That would be a mic drop moment. That would be crazy. Maybe he watched the Casey Anthony trial and seen her make up Zanny and get away with it and thought it was his best choice. The problem was, I think he started telling stories about Jim a long time before the murder. That'd be the coolest thing. Melissa Ann, the timing might be perfect. This should be a 2 to 3 week trial. I'm not sure how much digging they did there. I don't think he's on the witness list. Are we in for Letitia type stories? I believe we are if we get to hear them. But defense has admitted that he's a liar. So I'm not sure how many of those stories they really want to tell. The prosecution will probably get into them. Kelly, thanks for the mic drop sticker. Love it. Thank you, Kelly H. We may be done before Adelson starts. It's going to be close. It's going to be really close. We might have to do catch up on Adelson. Yes, if you missed the opening statements, the interesting thing about this case, both sides were supposed to give opening statements. Typically, we hear from the state and then from the defense. In this one, the state said, I defer, they can go first. So defense gave their statement, and then the prosecutor did, which I've never seen before. I didn't know the prosecution could even do that. Yeah, you got to go back and watch. They were interesting, and they're not very long either. They're worth going back and watching. That's from this morning's stream. It's about half an hour in is when they start. You don't tug on Superman's cape. You don't spit in the wind. You don't pull the mask off the old Lone Ranger. And you don't mess around with Jim. That's the Jim that he was talking about. It's a good song. So since he has a lawyer, he knows he shouldn't take the stand, but will he think he is smart enough to testify? I don't think so. I don't think he's going to take the stand. We are waiting as the jury is perusing some pictures. They should be nearly done soon. What happened to his third wife? Great question, Barbara. I don't know at this point. I don't know if they're still married. I don't know if she supports him. I don't know if they're separated now. Obviously, this happened back in 2022. He was arrested 2023, I think. And he's been in jail ever since. Was he a Slim Jim? The current wife was a sort of a writer, like horror stories as well. Oh yeah, there's the fun fact that he is being represented by attorney Doug Weinstein of the YSL fame. So that's Doug right there with the yellow notepad. He waved to Miranda. He has to know better. I don't know. I wonder what was in his head. I can't wait to hear those portions of the trial, to hear his statements. How could he afford the high-priced lawyer? Well, he's a successful Navy JAG lawyer. I don't think the judge appreciates this method of displaying pictures, but it's probably quicker than the alternative of putting them up on the screen one at a time. Maybe not. Laurie, I'm taking some hope in being able to hear these stories. Defense did say he and his wife were terribly frightened, and that we're going to hear about that. That was what the opening statement was. So we're going to hear about the story that Jim told him that frightened them. Chapter 1 in the Unaliving for Beginners book. Dismantling the victim multiplies the chance to get caught by peace. Yeah. Also in that chapter, we learned from Shelby Neely, digging a grave for the victims in their front yard in full sight of the neighbors is also not recommended. Skippy, the judge has ordered that some of the pictures pertaining to the victim specifically are not to be shown, not to be televised. I think that is what we're doing here. Hanging with Yins comes in successfully converting a Dr. Seuss rhyme to be relevant in this trial. That one I recognize from a book called Green Eggs and Ham. Mr. Weinstein using the old-fashioned legal pad. Almost can see his notes there, so we'll crop that out. I wonder what goes on in their heads at times like this, the defendant. He's deep in thought. The jailhouse diet does work really well for a lot of people. Looks like they're almost done. Just gathering up the pictures from the last few people, maybe. The defendant has lost a considerable amount of weight. since the crime. You'll see some pictures of him in a Home Depot making purchase of a knife and some other items. I think a shovel as well. Yes, his arrest photo is something I used on the thumbnail, actually. See if I can show this without breaking our counter. Nope, I have to break the counter. I'll fix it just a second. Hang on. Here's his arrest photo. You can compare that to current. Hope I got the same guy. He looks a lot different. Yeah, that's him. Are we almost done with these? It does look like defense might be watching a live stream and reading comments. What do you think? Do you think they're watching a live stream? I'm not saying ours. I'm just saying, do you think they are? My wife just brought me some chocolate-covered raisins. No, I stole some.
finished on December 5th of 2022, did you in any way facilitate another crime scene location?
Yes, ma'am.
Where did you go?
311 East 65th Street in Savannah.
Why did you go to that location?
Well, at that point, Mindy had been identified, and further investigation revealed that she and Nicholas had lived at this address for a period of time during the window in which she would have died.
Okay. Do you know what their arrangements for the living conditions were at that location?
The residence was being utilized through Airbnb as a rental.
Okay. And when they rented at that location, did you know at the time you went to the crime scene who resided at that location?
We did not.
Okay. Can you tell the jury just a general description of what that location looked like?
Sure. It was a single-story residence in a neighborhood full of similar homes. Not a big residence. I guess I'd have to look at the square footage in my notes, but there were 2 bedrooms, 2 dens, and a kitchen, and I believe 2 bathrooms. There was a nice backyard that was enclosed, shaded with trees. There was a shed in the backyard, and the backyard butted up to an alley that ran through for trash collection.
Okay. And when you went to that location, how did you gain access?
We spoke with the owner of the residence and obtained their consent or her consent to search the residence and treat it as a crime scene.
Okay. So you were permitted to go there?
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
And at the time that you went there in May, did Mr. Kassotis reside there anymore?
No, ma'am.
So at that time, the person that owned the residence was responsible for that location?
Correct.
Okay. So you got permission from them to go in?
We did.
And they granted that?
They did.
Okay. Do you take a signed document to ensure that you have some proof that that was the case?
So, yes, we do have a form that's just used for consent to search whenever we try to obtain that during the course of the investigation. I was not the agent who actually obtained that permission, but that is a standard practice.
Okay. And so when you enter the residence, can you tell the jury how you handle a physical crime scene like a residence any differently than perhaps the woods?
Well, and this is a very unusual crime scene because normally when we're responding to something, this is to an incident that just occurred. In this case, we weren't sure exactly when this crime was committed. We had an idea at the time, a time range, if you will, but there had been a significant amount of time, months, had passed between when this crime had potentially occurred, and we weren't even sure it had occurred there. So we were going through to search this house, not really knowing 100% what we were looking for or if we'd find anything.
Okay. Would it be fair to say that there had been other residents inside of that dwelling in between December of 2022 and when you got there in May of 2023?
Yes, ma'am. So with the residence being treated as an Airbnb, there were people being moved through the residence from time to time. I don't have records and don't have access to those and have not had access to those during the course of my portion of the investigation. But as you can imagine, there were other people who had come in inside and out of the house.
So at that point, how did that impact what you did?
Well, as far as contamination goes, and we pretty much treat this as a scene that's again, we're not 100% sure what we're looking for. To a certain extent, we just got to use common sense. We know that Mindy received some pretty serious injuries, as horrible as you can imagine. You saw the photographs, and we had to look for signs that may have occurred there. So the easiest thing to look for at that point was for blood.
Okay. Can you explain to the jury how you would go about finding blood that may have been left behind?
So, again, some of the tests that you saw, I described seeing a physical stain, like a reddish-brown substance, clinging to the side of a container or maybe on a piece of cloth. When we look for blood that's not visible, we look for blood that may have been cleaned up or maybe was deposited in minuscule amounts that's just not visible to the naked eye. We do have some chemical processes that we can employ to look for those and try to identify those stains where they are. The one that we chose to use in this case was called BlueStar. Now, you heard me talk about BlueStar OBTI. That's a presumptive test for human blood, but BlueStar is a product. They make several different products, and this particular one that we used is just BlueStar. It contains a chemical called luminol, you may have heard of before. Luminol and BlueStar both, in the presence of hydrogen peroxide, come into contact with blood and cause that blood to glow. So it's not like on TV where you may have seen a crime scene investigator go into a house and shine a black light around and see blood and the blood starts glowing. That's not what happens. Blood doesn't glow under an alternate light source. In this case, we can use the blood, mix it according to the manufacturer's specifications, and then spray it in a fine mist. And anywhere that mist falls where blood is at a detectable level, and it's pretty sensitive stuff. If I remember correctly, it's about 10 parts per million that it can detect.
It's the second time you
what it
knocked
does
the
is
TV.
that blue glow that I'm describing is called
Investigators.
chemoluminescence. It's the same way that fireflies or glow sticks emit light. It's not a chemical process that emits much heat, but it does emit a faint glow. So one of the things we have to do when we employ that chemical is we have to make sure that the residence is very dark. So one of the things, again, that we had to do to prepare to even spray the chemical was to go around and cover all the doors and windows with black plastic. We unplugged microwaves and taped over LED lights and things and made sure that the residence was as dark as we could get it, and moved all of our camera equipment inside, and then began searching the house using BlueStar to look for stains that could potentially be blood.
Okay. Now, just so that we can start with some visuals, I'm going to go to slide number 42. Can you tell us what's depicted here?
This is another drone photograph. This is from directly over the residence. The residence in this case that was 311 is going to be the third from the left.
Okay. That'd be fair to say that it's the one underneath the biggest tree on the left side of the photograph?
Right. Most of the backyard was shaded.
It's all trees.
Okay.
Which trees?
And so that's the overhead of that house?
Right.
How far apart were those other houses from this house?
They were pretty close. I'm not sure that you could park two cars in between the houses, so they were packed pretty tight.
Okay. And
like that's
I'm
how I
now
remember
going
it
to the
too.
next screen, 43. Would that be the distance between if you're facing the house, the left side of the house and the house closest to it?
Right. This depicts the left side of the house if you're facing it from the roadway, and it's right there in the center of the photograph.
A lot of debris on the roof.
And
needs to be
can you
swept
also
off.
see there where there is the pathway to the right of the house? I'm referring to, and I'm zooming in right over here.
Right. So there was a concrete walkway from the road, from the sidewalk to the front stoop of the house. There was a way to walk around the right side of the house, but it was not very well kept. That concrete walkway actually went to the neighbor's house.
Okay, but that is the distance between the right side of the house and the neighbor to the right?
Yeah, that's a good depiction of it, yes.
Okay. I'm now going to slide number 44. Can you tell us, how did you gain access to enter the house? What was involved with getting into the house?
So we met, I believe, her name, we obtained permission from the owner of the residence, and she allowed us.
I'm going to stop you. I need to clarify my question. I mean to physically walk into the house. How do you get in?
Through the front door.
Oh, I know. Are there any steps?
There are.
Okay. Can you describe that for the jury?
Sure. So there, you see there's a concrete walkway from the sidewalk to the front of the house. There's a iron railing and our metal railing and a front stoop there, and then the front door.
Okay. So you'd have to go up those couple of steps, either holding on the left or right railing if you chose to then make that right, I guess, into that front door?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm now going to slide number 45. What's depicted here?
This is the bedroom on the southwest corner, or excuse me, apologies, not the bedroom. This is the den area, living room on the southwest corner of the house.
Okay. And are there any light sources inside of this room that had to be covered in order to be able to conduct the BlueStar?
Yes, ma'am. The doors there leading out into the back porch or the back deck, and then the window, and also on the opposite side of the room is the kitchen. So there was kitchen windows that needed to be covered as well.
Okay. And inside of this room, was there ultimately anything of significance to your investigation?
Yes, ma'am. When we started searching with the BlueStar, one of the first things that we saw that gave us a positive reaction was the blue futon there, the cushion on the rear of it.
I'm just going to ask you once again. You said they. Are you referring to yourself or to someone else?
I am. I had help, assistance. Again, this is a fairly major undertaking to put up all the plastic and everything. So I had help from my team, the additional agents that come in and help me prepare, and then stood by and helped me observe while I applied the chemical.
Okay. So were they assisting at your direction?
They were.
Okay. And were they in your presence the entire time?
They were.
Okay. When you say they assisted, did all of you then ultimately put up these tarps or obstructions to the light sources?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And was there anything in this room that became noteworthy after you applied the BlueStar?
Yes, ma'am. After I applied the BlueStar, there were a couple of things. One, and the most obvious, was the blue futon there, the couch with the cover over it. The top of the couches were facing there on the left-hand side. Had a significant reddish-brown stain on it that actually, once we discovered it using the BlueStar, we flipped the light back on and saw that it was actually visible to the naked eye.
Is that the couch you're referring to there that I've kind of zoomed in on?
It is.
Okay. And did you then ultimately have the opportunity to capture photographs of the BlueStar reaction on this futon?
I did.
Okay. Can you explain to the jury, is it always possible to capture a BlueStar reaction?
So, no. The way BlueStar works is it causes a reaction that is basically transient. That energy that's being released in the form of light, once that reaction is over with, that catalyst occurs, it only lasts so long. So, and because some of the sample was actually consumed as part of that testing, is something that you can't just do over and over and over again and expect the same result. So and usually there's at least 3 applications that are involved in the recovery and documentation of any stain that we found with BlueStar, and that's the first one that we use to identify it, and that's when it first glows and we go, okay, well, there's a possibility there's a stain there. Then we'll set up camera equipment and we'll try to go ahead and measure and capture that, and then usually a third one to make sure that we get a good photograph. But that's not always possible. It depends a lot on the substrate or the material that the chemicals actually coming into contact with and what the blood is actually sitting on or in, and then how much has actually been deposited there.
Okay. So in this case, meaning with the futon, you were able to capture?
Yes.
Okay. I'm now going to show you slide number 46. Can you tell us what that is?
So that is what BlueStar basically looks like in the dark when you spray something that makes it react.
That's a lot.
Usually blood.
And what is depicted in that image, in slide 46?
That is the stain as we observed it on the rear of the futon.
Okay. I'm now going to slide number 47, and I'm asking you, can you tell us what is depicted on the area that I've zoomed in on?
So that's the same area of the futon, and again, you can see that reddish-brown stain there on top of it.
Okay.
How do you miss that? You don't need luminol for that.
Would it be fair to say that's the naked eye as opposed to BlueStar?
Yes, that was visible, with or without the BlueStar being applied.
Okay. And now looking at slide number 48, what do you have depicted there?
That's the same stain. We just pulled the futon down. That futon, the stain would have been in the upright position on the back side of the futon. So we basically just folded that cushion over and then applied a scale there to give you an idea of what size the stain was.
So I'm looking at slide number 49. Is that what you're describing?
That's correct.
Okay. So would it be fair then to say, where is that stain located on that mattress or futon seating area?
As it was oriented when we found it, and keeping in mind that, of course, the futon mattress can be placed in pretty much any configuration you want it. That stain would have been on toward the wall there where that metal portion of it is standing up against the wall.
Okay. Do you have any idea if that futon mattress had been moved?
No, I have no idea. It was that, as you saw it in the first photograph, is how we found it.
So I'm going back to slide number 45. Is that what you're referring to?
Correct.
And so, but you don't have any way of knowing if since December of 2022 that had been reoriented or moved in any way?
I have no idea.
Okay. So you just documented what you found?
Correct.
Okay. So when you see this stain, you said you took a measurement of the scale and the range. Is that correct, that the stain spread?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you slide number 50. What did you do here?
So again, these are field tests, the same as we used before, as phenolphthalein and also the OBTI tests. The phenolphthalein returned a positive result for blood. The OBTI test returned a positive result for human blood.
Okay. Is that same stain that you were referring to?
Right. In this case, we used a sterile razor blade just to cut a small sample of the cloth away and tested the cloth itself.
Okay. And why did you do that?
It's easier and more accurate than trying to resaturate a stain using distilled water or something like that. The normal, if we had found a dry sample or a dry stain somewhere that we want to sample, we use what's called a wet dry technique, where we'd use 2 swabs, wet one with distilled water and use it, and then collect another with dry, and then use both of them in the test. And in this case, it was just as easy to cut a small section of the stain away and test it.
So you put the actual cloth into your testing sample?
Correct.
Okay. And with respect to the phenolphthalein, did you do any other testing?
We did the phenolphthalein test, and then we also did the OBTI test to determine if it was human blood or not. And that test returned a positive result for human blood.
I happen to have like a quart
and with
of
respect to
in my cupboard.
Blood testing, and if this is outside of your area, please just tell me. Can you tell when a stain of blood happened?
No.
Why not?
Well, I mean, the blood could have been placed there at any time. I have no way of telling when it was there. In fact, BlueStar can be used to recover, in an archaeological sense, can be used to actually identify blood on ancient remains.
So you just know that there was blood, you don't know when it was deposited?
Correct.
Okay. Now looking at slide number 51. What's depicted here?
So we decided to collect the stain itself from the mattress just by cutting it away. So we took the stained section away, packaged it as evidence, and then noticed that the batting or the material, the padding underneath, had actually been saturated with what appeared to be blood as well. So we decided to take a sample of it too.
Okay.
Rest in peace, futon.
And is that what's depicted in this photograph?
Correct.
I'm now showing you slide number 52. Can you tell the jury what is on the floor there that I am showing?
Right. So as part of the search process, and like I said before, there's usually an application done BlueStar to identify where stains are. Once we identify a good location where we feel like there may be some stains, we'll mark that location. At this point, we use some black tape and just marked the outline of the stains on the floor in the general area. And then went back, set up our photograph equipment. Because again, you only get so many bites of the apple of this. If you want to make sure that you get a photograph as best you can, if you can. And so in this case we did. We were able to take this photograph, and the way this photograph was taken is a very long exposure. Most of the time if you hear a camera click, the shutter only stays open for just a moment. In this case, the camera was placed on a tripod, and the shutter was allowed to stay open for a very long time, almost a minute, I believe, in this particular exposure. And then at the very end, I had a flash that I aimed at the ceiling. The light went up, bounced out, and then illuminated the rest of the room. So you can see both the BlueStar stain there on the floor as well as its context with the furniture and the floor.
Okay.
Fun photography tricks.
Now, where was this stain located in relationship to the, and I'll go back to slide number 45, the rug that you see in this room?
So we sprayed the rug and we didn't get a reaction from it. So in order to check underneath it, we moved it and then sprayed again. And that's when we found the stains on the floor.
So the rug didn't fluoresce?
It did not.
But what was under it did?
That's correct.
Did you notice anything about the pattern that the stain was in on the floor under where the rug was?
Well, in contrast to the stain that was on the back of the futon, you could not see the stains that are on the floor. This flooring was kind of like a vinyl plank. It was manufactured, and if you got down closely and looked at it, there were grooves in it, and this blood was not visible to the naked eye at all. So the blood that you're seeing there that's fluorescent, that's causing that stain, is actually from blood that's down in the grooves of the floor.
So when you pulled the rug up first, you couldn't see that stain with your naked eye?
Not at all.
And you only saw it when the fluorescing occurred?
That's correct.
Showing you slide number 53. What's depicted there?
This is the same area of flooring with the light turned off and just the chemoluminescence depicted in the photograph.
Was there anything that drew your attention as a crime scene specialist with respect to the pattern of that stain?
Ma'am, in my opinion, particularly on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see where there's a strong reaction. Probably, yes, ma'am. There in the center of the screen, there's the brightest reaction. You see how it tails off to the right, to the bottom of the photograph. That, in my opinion, appears to be a wipe. A wipe is where we have blood that's been deposited on the surface and then something moves through it, as opposed to a swipe, which would be where something bloody comes into contact with the surface and then deposits blood on it. So what we can tell from this is there was a bloodletting event that occurred in this home at some point, and then it appears that it's been wiped through.
And with respect to that, the grooves, can you see them in this pattern?
Yes, ma'am. They move from left to right in the photograph.
And when you say from left to right, would that be from left to the right in the photograph itself?
Yes, ma'am.
So when you refer to the swipe, is that the correct terminology?
Wipe.
Wipe. My apologies. When you refer to the wipe, are you referring to this section at the lower right-hand portion right here? I'm going to zoom in on it specifically.
Yes, ma'am.
And that would be a downward motion, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Across the grain, so to speak.
So it was across the grain. Would blood normally move in that fashion on its own?
No, ma'am. I can't.
Speculation.
Objection.
If he can testify as an expert in rendering
Yeah,
his
he's been
opinion.
qualified as an expert, so I'll allow it.
I can't honestly think of a way that blood could have gotten into the grooves of the floor without also being on top of the floor. I mean, I suppose you could get a syringe with a tiny needle and put diluted blood in there and then get down on your hands and knees and insert blood into the grooves in the floor and make that pattern. But it would be kind of ridiculous. I mean, that's the only other way I can think of.
Okay. Can we turn, please? Now, Your Honor, I'm about to move to the physical evidence. Do you want to do a comfort break now, or would you like me to keep going?
Yeah, we can do that. We'll take 10 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, just excuse us.
So another 10-minute break. This might be our third 10-minute break today. So we'll go right here for a bit as we're waiting for them to come back. Moving on to physical evidence, meaning they're probably going to bring in items. Hopefully I can do without the maggots today. I think we don't need to bring those in. That would be great. More like the fifth 10-minute break. We should have counted the breaks. Yeah.
All right, the jury's out. We're in recess.
We're in recess. Okay, so we'll hold. Tanya, I don't know who family members are in the trial and who is who, but lots of breaks. Let's see, all these breaks. When it comes to maggots, my experience with maggots, thankfully, has only been fishing in England. When I was in England doing fishing, they call it, I think they call it coarse fishing. So the fishing over in England is where I was different. Most of them was not trout fishing. There is some trout fishing there, but to do that you would have to be like rich and famous and have access to land. I think it's more up in Scotland, but that's my understanding. So I was fishing for carp, tench, bream, pike, some other species. And one of the ways to fish for them is to use tiny tiny hooks. I mean, like, I can't stress how tiny. You could probably fit 3 of them in the size of a pencil eraser. They're that small. And then you use the little bugs that we're talking about today as bait. But you don't just put one on and throw it out. No, you put one on and you throw it out, and then you take like a scoop of them in a little slingshot and you shoot it out to where you threw it out. So you're chumming the water with all the other ones that don't have hooks, and then as they eat everything up, they eat yours too, and you catch a fish. But the hooks are tiny. The line, the fishing line was like smaller than human hair size. It's impossible to tie a knot. It's crazy. All right. I don't know that there was a new renter. It might not have been rented out. It might not have been cleaned since he left. Chumming's illegal. Most states it's illegal, unless you're like Utah allows anchovies. You can chum with anchovies in Lake Powell and things like that. But in England, it's actually that's the way you fish. It's not fishing, that's entrapment. I'm with you on that. But when in Rome, you do as Romans do. But let's see. All right. I'm not sure if Josh is in mod chat or not. Josh, are you with us? Steph, thanks for the update. We did hear that. They caught Austin Drummond in Tennessee. And by caught, they caught him alive. He was a suspect in a quadruple murder situation and manhunt. So would you use dogs when hunted in Georgia? No. That is a method of hunting. It is not the required method of hunting. It's allowed, but no. First of all, I spent some time actually filmed a promo for a hound rescue. These are hounds, or the dogs that are used during hunting. So this rescue specifically rescues hounds that basically hunters are done with, that are too old or injured or can't hunt anymore, and they end up getting dumped at a animal shelter. And most of these hounds are not the type of dog you might have as a pet for the family. And so they rescue these dogs and give them a good life, a forever home. So I've spent a lot of time with just some, they had like 30 or so hounds when I went there and filmed them. They're amazing dogs. Their skill, their nose is amazing. Watching them, they actually scatter food, treats for them that they have to hunt for, which the dogs love to do. I can't imagine using them as hounds for hunting. It still rubs me wrong. I watch it, I understand it's normal and it's okay. It doesn't seem like sporting hunting for that. When it comes to fishing, on the other hand, I will chum all day long if it's legal. It's all about catching the fish. Let's see. AWOL podcast member for 16 months. Been here since the infamous Box Fort days, which means you're an OG. So despite the courthouse color in my heart, it's pink. Well, OG love to all in chat, mods, and RA and family. Yes, AWOL, for sure. OG. The Box Fort days, he's referencing the Daryl Brooks trial, which was my first on YouTube. Okay, let me do a little something here really quickly. It's something that has been in the works for a long time, and I've not talked to this person about, but I'd like to welcome Red Pen as a moderator on the channel. I just gave her a wrench. Red has helped us out a ton over the years, and I say that I mean that over the years, not just with thumbnails, but with information, with helping. Just she understands who we are and what we are, and fits so well in this community. I don't think she has any enemies anywhere. We've had her on the channel as a guest a couple times, I think, way back in the day. So Red, would you accept the wrench I just gave you? Red Pen is my arch nemesis. She says, sure. There you go. Congratulations, Red. Amber's calling in. Hang on. Let's see what's happening here. During the break, we'll take this call from Amber. Amber, are you there?
I'm here. Are you there?
I'm here. I'm working.
You can't be here because I'm here. You must be there.
Yes. What's up?
I really want to give a huge shout out to Red Pen. She may have only just gotten a wrench, but she's been helping a lot behind the scenes. The website that we have that's under construction, she's been really instrumental in helping write a lot of that content. So she's been pretty essential behind the scenes and has been very helpful, especially to me and
very much
all of that stuff that we do. So it's been a long time coming, and Red's definitely been here. She's most certainly an OG.
Yep. This Gaily Mays comment is golden. Does that mean we're going to get put in timeout every time we misspell? Red Pen is my go-to for spelling, for corrections, for pronunciation, everything else. She is phenomenal, and yes, she's really good at that. So that's why she has a red pen. But she has a red pen, red pen and a blue wrench, so the combination are great.
I actually on my master recovery addict spreadsheet for all of my commands and stuff, when you said that you saw my comment and you've already fixed it, I went through and did a strike through on that command and made it red, just like a red pen.
Nice. That was the cackle one, right? I fixed cackle.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, cackle was driving me nuts, but Red Pen has been absolutely incredible. If you want to check out any of her work or check her grammar,
you've seen her work
at all.
If you've been on this channel for more than a month, you've seen stuff that Red Pen has done. It's amazing.
There you go. Red Pen's already got the hang of it.
Just practicing the timeouts with Adam.
No, Adam said he asked for it. You're not a real mod until you time me out.
Yep, 10 seconds. There you go. I will say that one thing I really appreciate about our moderators is that, first of all, they have lives, and I don't expect or require them to do anything. The fact that they are here right now and is a huge honor to me, and I could not do this without them. But they have lives, and that comes first always. And that they're respectful, and they really try to. There's nobody on the moderator team that just doesn't like people and times them out because they don't like them. They really do try to follow what's happening in chat, the mood, the theme, understand the meaning behind. Give people chances, and. They're just amazing. They're literally the best moderators on YouTube, and you guys are all amazing. And I include you, that Red Pen.
We have a very good group. I will say, with the RA mod team, and now finally with the Discord too. I mean, we've got a good group of people who know and understand that it's not about personal feelings or what happens on other channels. It's objective to just this channel. What happens here is separate.
Because if people were judged by what they did on another channel, honestly, I'd ban Amber like permanently.
Look, I don't say anything anywhere else.
You're wonderful. You're amazing. Honestly,
that I wouldn't say on this channel.
Through you, thank you, Red Pen. Thank you for accepting the wrench, and I know you've been doing this duty for a long time. So,
but have no fear. I know you said that you didn't get to talk to her. She and I spoke about this specifically about 2.5 weeks ago.
Did you tell her how long we've been talking about this?
Oh yeah,
good.
Well, we had spoken about it as well previously, in passing. But I had already set this up. We already got her where she could be added to mod chat. Like, we already had this plan. We were just waiting for her company to leave town and for her to settle down from her water flood incident,
which we might get pictures of here soon. She went on vacation, came back and had a disaster, a water hose break, I think, on the washing machine, and everything that comes with that. Which I feel the pain. This is my house every day. So weird. Amber, thank you very much. I appreciate you facilitating everything, and Red Pen.
No problem.
Welcome, and thanks for welcoming Red Pen as a moderator.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. See ya. All right. Yeah, Red Pen's loyalty to Chat is will always be there. Cheryl, you've heard this before, but I'm so close. I'm so close to being done. The shower has we lost the ring that tightens the rubber gasket around the drain pipe, and as soon as we go and buy a new one at Lowe's and tighten it down, it's functional. Now, it needs a door still. It doesn't have the door, but other than that, it's there. Guys, do not hire me to repair your house. I am not that guy. I do not do home repairs. I do not do remodeling. I don't do any of that. So don't think that's what you're getting if you hire me. All right, let's see. Let's jump here. There we go. Obviously, yes. It's been 84 years. It's pretty much how old my house is. It's that long. Yes, you will see many recommendations. Got somebody else calling in. Hang on 1 second. Where are they? Trying to connect.
Call from Sloth Life to accept.
Sloth Life, how are you doing?
I'm doing fabulous. Just a quick call before the judge comes back.
Mm-hmm.
I have to give Red a right Scottish congratulations. Gun yourself in. You're doing wonderful. Well done.
I'm not sure if that was a telling off or congratulations, but either way, congratulations, Red. Thank you.
Yeah. So, no, I'm just phoning in for a quick chat. That was all. Plus, Donna Turner said she wanted to hear a Scottish accent. So I thought I'll just phone in. You know me and my 3 minutes.
Yep, 3 minutes. You got to use them.
Awesome. That's it.
Hope
everything's going well with you.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, we need to get this live stream with Mrs. Ari's cinnamon buns because I really want to see that one.
You said Mrs. R.A.'s cinnamon. Yes, okay. I was with you.
Yes.
I was like...
Sorry, cinnamon buns.
Okay. I missed the cinnamon part.
Sorry.
I'll let you go now. Thanks, Love Life.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye. I was on board, for the record. I was on board. Yeah. All right. Judge should be back here in just a minute. We've had a 10-minute break. We anticipate that when we come back, we'll have physical evidence that will be presented. This could be the knife. This could be some of the, if there was a deer processing equipment, which could include like a bone saw, things like that. That could be included there. It was my fault. Sorry. I missed a milestone. Oh, no. I've got Ashley's 19 months. Ashley, thank you very much. Not here in chat much anymore. It's hard to chat with the newborn, but I'm always here lurking. Ashley, congratulations on the newborn. And let's see, we've got Simply Nikki, member for 7 months. My membership expired, but I'm renewed. How could I not love this channel? Nikki, thank you very much. Love the yellow courthouse. It'll be orange in no time. That's the next color up for you. And Red Pen, thank you very much. I didn't get to call this out, but gifted 10 memberships during the testimony earlier. Thank you for your generosity. I think we're back here. Let's listen quietly. There we go.
All right, everyone, please be seated. Ms. Bayo, you may continue.
Thank you. Now, Agent Dickerson, you indicated
thanks, Greeners.
Just before we broke that you saw those images of the floor underneath the carpet, correct?
Yes, ma'am, I observed that.
Okay. Did you do anything with respect to those images other than just photograph them? That space under the floor?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you do?
So much like phenolphthalein and some of the other tests that I've talked to you today about field testing, BlueStar is in and of itself considered a field test. So if we see a blue glow like that, then we can safely presume that that sample may be blood. So we went ahead and collected swabs of several areas. We did. I've talked about collecting the futon cover, but I also swabbed the floor in several areas. There was also a small spot on the wall.
Okay, talk to us about what you saw on the wall.
Okay, so on the wall above where the futon back was located in that first photograph you saw, there was an arc-shaped stain on the wall. It was extremely faint. It was very, very hard to see. You had to be almost on top of it, even with the naked eye, to see it. And after that first application of BlueStar, really couldn't tell much more about it. The wall was a painted surface, so it wasn't very porous, so there was nowhere for the blood to really soak in, so to speak. And with that small of a sample, my conclusion that I felt reasonable to draw was that that first test had actually consumed what visible blood there would have been on the wall. We did swab that area though and make sure to take a sample for the lab.
Okay.
I just wasn't able to photograph it.
Okay, so earlier you testified that sometimes with BlueStar you can or can't capture a photograph. With respect to the area behind the futon, were you able to actually capture a photograph?
Not of the wall behind the futon, no.
Okay. So when you made the first application of the BlueStar, were you able to see any fluorescence?
I was able to see some, yes. That's how I identified that stain on the wall.
Okay. And with respect to the naked eye, meaning without BlueStar, could you see that at all?
No, ma'am, not at all.
Okay. And was there anything about what you saw when it was first fluorescing that drew it to be of interest to you?
It was just so because there was the shape of the stain was determined by that chemoluminescence, that glow. The glowing area was how you could see, again, that arc shape that I described on the wall. And it was just a couple of inches wide, probably about this long on the wall.
It was like
so I'm just going to ask you to clarify for the record.
To wash the wall.
You did some gesture with your hands. How wide are you talking about?
A little over a foot.
Okay.
And again, it was a couple of inches in thickness from top to bottom, and it was kind of an arcing shape across the wall.
Okay. And you're making a gesture with your hand in an arcing movement, is that correct?
Correct.
Is that what you believed had occurred? If you could draw an opinion.
It's very difficult to say, but considering that the BlueStar returned a positive result, and then we were able to test that later on at the laboratory, there's a possibility that it could have been cleaned up.
Okay. And so, but that you were not able to document in a photograph, just what you made observations of?
Correct.
Okay. Now, with respect to this case, just before I move on completely, you previously testified, and I just want to introduce these into evidence. Your Honor, may I approach the witness with what I've pre-marked as 1.2, 1.3, and 1.4, which I've previously shown to counsel.
I like the white sleeve bailiff back there. Got 4 stars. I'm not sure what the rank is. That's got to be one of the bosses.
Yes, ma'am. These are the 2 sketches in the legend to the sketch.
Okay.
When you say first scene,
from the first scene,
where the torso was found.
Okay. And when you say a legend, can you tell us what you mean by that?
So a legend is like a key to read a map. This is just a list of which pieces of evidence were associated to which placard number for reference purposes.
Your Honor, at this time I would seek to introduce these exhibits 1.2, 3, and 4.
Any objection? No objection. All right, they're admitted without objection.
May I just display 1.3?
Yeah.
I'm going to go old school here.
Just hold it up.
Is this the legend you're referring to?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I'm publishing to the jury. What specifically are those numbers on this legend that you're referring to?
The numbers on the left-hand side represent the placard numbers that were used at the scene to denote the different pieces of evidence that we located.
Okay. And having noted those, are those the placard numbers that you testified to earlier concerning where the totes and the other various items were recovered by the gate at Jones Road?
Correct.
Thank you. Now, Agent Dickerson, after you processed each of these crime scenes, what happens to the physical evidence that you recovered?
So the evidence comes back with me to the Region 5 field office. We have an evidence processing area there, so you heard me talk earlier about the items that were wet that needed to be preserved. We were able to, or I was able to place those into the drying cabinet to be preserved and dried so it could be properly packaged. And then the other items that were ready to be packaged, I went ahead and packaged those. And to be entered into our digital evidence system, each item of evidence is assigned a barcode number. And that barcode number is then used to track evidence through the system so we can determine chain of custody later on, just to make sure there's a record.
Does every single item that's recovered get its own unique barcode?
Not every single item, but generally speaking, we tend to group like items together. Now, I wouldn't take something that I found in one area and something that I found in another disparate area somewhere else and put them in the same bag. But you know, all the cleaning wipes, for example, when they were packaged, many of them were packaged together in the same bag because they were found in the same location beside the road, and they were the same item. So,
if it's a unique item, does it get its own number?
Yes.
Okay. And if it was found, for example, at the Savannah location versus the Torso location, you would have then issued different numbers?
Correct. Nothing between scenes would be packaged together.
Okay. And was that the case here as well?
That's correct.
Okay. And were you the one that handled the coding and submission of those numbers and affixing of the barcodes?
I handled the coding and the packaging and the entry into the digital evidence system, and then the evidence submission forms and to be turned over to the crime lab along with the evidence for testing would be something the case agent would generally handle.
Okay. So at some point, do you pass it off to someone?
Yes, ma'am.
Who would that be?
Agent Tracy Sands, case agent.
And why was it him that it would go to?
Well, because being the case agent, he's privy to other information that would help us determine or make decisions about what evidence needs to go, what particular items of evidence need to go to which sections of the lab, and then the lab has their own order for things and which order they need to be processed. So with him having conducted interviews with people during the course of the investigation, he'd have more information about that than I would as just the crime scene specialist.
Okay. So he would ultimately be the one to make those determinations?
Again, it's kind of like the quarterback calling a play. He'd be the one to make that determination.
Okay. Now, the items that you ultimately processed back at Region 5, did you ultimately submit them to the crime laboratory for analysis? Some of them?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We're going to talk about some of those here today. Did you bring them with you physically to court for you to display them?
I did.
Okay. I'm going to note, Your Honor, that there are some gloves up on the stand. Please, I hope they're the right size. If you could just take a look. I'm going to start with the two
one
totes.
size fits most.
Are those present here in the courtroom today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can we start with first the black tote?
Sure.
What color are the gloves? Oh, they're purple. Nice. I like them.
If you can just tell us which box and number that would bear.
Mess it then.
Yes, sir. This is the box. It's got the black tote in it, and it's got barcode number CC00792.
And would it be you that affixed that box number or code number on that?
I was.
Okay. And do you recognize that box and that barcode number?
I do.
Is that something that you packaged and processed yourself?
I did.
And is it in the same or substantially the same condition as when you initially processed it, barring, of course, any additional stickers maybe from the crime laboratory?
Right. So both of these boxes went to the crime lab. The black Tote in particular, it went to the crime lab. It was opened and then processed there and then resealed within the same package.
And would the crime laboratory do anything with respect to those exhibits after they finish their testing? To reseal it is what I'm referring to.
Correct. So some of this tape, on the front end of things, we generally use red evidence tape. The crime lab has a system where they use different colors of tape as the item may move through different areas of the crime lab. So you'll see some different colors on here. You see where the impressions of evidence sealed this part of the box with white tape as opposed to the red tape that I used.
And that would have been the crime lab's tape?
Correct.
Okay. And your tape then would be the red tape, is that correct?
That's right.
And inside of that box would be what item?
This is the black Tote that was found near the location where Mindy's torso was recovered, right there on the southwest corner of the intersection of the first crime scene. And this was recovered the very first night.
So the theory is that her torso was in that when it was transported.
I'm now pulling up slide 1.1D from the exhibits. I'm going to show this to the witness.
The contents are from Home Depot. The boxes are from Lowe's.
Is this in fact the same tote, Your Honor? May I publish this to the jury?
You may.
Is this the same tote that is inside of that box that we're referring to right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I would like to have this exhibit marked as 1.5, if that's okay.
I will say it sounds like the investigative process here was done by the book in so many ways, and even when they didn't know what to do.
Has this box been opened by you since it was submitted to the crime
They
laboratory?
consulted experts before.
And so the contents of that box were processed by them after you?
Correct.
Okay. At this point, Your Honor, I'm going to ask the witness to, I'm going to ask to introduce this into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor. May I reposition to see him open that box?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So it's admitted without objection. 1.5.
At this time, Your Honor, I'm going to ask the witness to open the box.
You can't. Go ahead.
You all see okay?
How do you get that knife through security?
Your Honor, I would ask the jury for permission to stand if they need to.
Your Honor, may I have my client's reposition over here? Thank you.
Mr. Weinstein's asking for his client to be able to view it as it comes out.
Is that the tote that was recovered on December 2nd of 2022 at the Riceboro Portal Hunting Club?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you know that?
It's similar in appearance. I also recall the crack here at the bottom. Still got a piece of pine straw stuck in it.
Is there a tag of any sort on the end of the tote as well?
Yes, ma'am. That's the crime lab.
Okay. And can you tell the jury what type of a tote is that? Are there any markings on it?
Yes, ma'am. So this is manufactured by the brand under the brand name Husky. It's a 25-gallon latch and stack tote. I believe our investigation indicated they're available at Home Depot.
Okay. And specifically, that tote, did you provide it to the crime laboratory in that box?
I did. We actually don't have boxes quite this big as standard, so I had to go to Lowe's and get a large box, a couple of large boxes, so we were able to fit something, or fit the evidence inside.
Okay. And ultimately, that was what you brought to the crime laboratory for them to analyze?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And if you could, can you just turn that on its side for just a moment?
Sure.
Was that the larger or the smaller of the two totes?
This was the smaller of the two.
Okay. And that was the one that was found near what portion of her remains?
This container was discovered where near the location where Mindy's torso was found.
Okay. And you can put that back. You had one handle, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you find a second handle?
I have to look at the photographs to refresh my memory right off.
Okay. If you need to, please, by all means.
These you have locking lids. The handles sort of fold up and lock the lid into place. The lid has a depression on the top where the base of another box of the similar size can nest inside it for stacking once they're full. Great boxes.
Yes, ma'am. I believe it's just the one handle.
Good for all sorts of things.
And so if there had been more than one, would you have included both when you submitted it?
Yes.
Is Husky red?
So you submitted it in the condition you found it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And we're done with that. You can place that away. Thank you so much.
I'm not sure if Husky has the red or the yellow lids.
Now, there's a second box. What is inside of that box, sir?
This would be the gray tote that was discovered by the cadaver dogs on the side of the road. It wasn't too far away from where Mindy's torso was found. It was actually on Jones Road instead of on a private lane.
Okay. And, Your Honor, I'm going to ask that this be marked as 1.6, if that's permissible.
Yes, ma'am.
Does this have a specific identifying barcode that was associated with that exhibit from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation?
Yes, ma'am. It's CC00806.
And do you recognize that box?
Yes, ma'am. This is the box that I packed as the gray tote.
Okay. And is it in the same or substantially the same condition, minus, of course, the crime scene laboratory, or rather the crime laboratory tape?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this time I'm going to seek to introduce 1.6 in evidence.
Any objection?
No objection, no.
Submitted.
If we can open that box, please.
It's a big tote. Defendant is awfully curious. Wants to get a good view of this. Whoops. Why was it packaged upside down?
You also have two items right there.
It has
Do you recognize that item?
sticker.
Yes, this is the tote, and these are the two handles.
Okay. And where was that item located?
This was found about a half mile or so from the road where Mindy's torso was discovered, back south from the original location.
And where was that in proximity to her leg?
Would have been west.
How far approximately?
About a mile.
Okay.
Give or take.
So that was that.
You're talking about as the crow flies or as you drive.
Right. And would it be fair to say that there's only a few roads physically over there?
Right.
And more as the crow flies? Okay. That tote itself, what type of tote is that, size and type? If you look on the front of that.
So this is Sterilite, 34 gallon.
Okay. And that tote is gray in color, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. That was in fact the same tote that you processed on the day of which? December 5th of 2022?
It was found December 5th, yes ma'am.
Okay.
And it does appear to be the same tote.
Okay. Are those the two totes, that being 1.5 and 1.6, that you did swabbings on, that we saw the photographs of?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I thank you. We're finished with those. I'm now going to point your attention to CC 00808, the lid of the gray tote.
So it's this end up at all times, but the box is packaged upside down. So crime lab put it in.
Did you process that lid?
I did not.
You did not. Okay. Do you know who did?
This tote was tote lid rather was collected, turned over to me, and then it was subsequently submitted to the crime lab.
Do you know who submitted it to the crime laboratory?
We submitted it as part of our evidence submission process.
And when you say we, who are you referring to?
Our investigative team, which has been headed up by Agent Sands.
Okay. So that tote itself, do you know, the lid itself, do you know who actually put it into that bag?
I did.
You did. Okay. So somebody gave it to you and ultimately you processed it. You simply didn't recover it. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And would it be fair to say that you had an opportunity to look at that lid in conjunction with the item that is in evidence as 1.6?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
However, I did not place two things together because they were found in different areas. We want to avoid cross-contamination, so they were packaged separately and processed separately.
So do you have any idea if that lid actually fits on that tote?
I do not. I'm assuming that it did. It's approximately the same size, but that would be an assumption, so I'll try it.
Okay. Can you please, at this time, I'd like to mark this as 1.7, that being the tote lid. Do you recognize the barcode on that? Don't open it just yet, please.
Sure.
Do you recognize the barcode on that?
Yes, ma'am.
And that was CC 00808?
Correct.
Your Honor, I'd like to mark this as 1.7.
Prosecution's being very meticulous with this evidence, entering a prop.
Is that exhibit in the same or substantially the same condition, excluding, of course, any crime laboratory tape that may be on it?
Yes.
And do you recognize that to be the same tote lid that you submitted to the crime laboratory in connection with this case? I say you, the GBI submitted.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. At this time, Your Honor, I'd like to tender 1.7.
No objection, Your Honor. It's submitted.
If we can open that tote lid, please.
Don't cut it all the way. Don't cut it all the way. Stop. Oh. Cut it all the way.
If you could remove that from the package.
Like, what do you think I'm doing, lady? You see the look he gave her. Good with it. She's very good. These are the inferior lids. They're not very strong.
Your Honor, if that could be published.
Sure.
Is there anything that you noted about the condition of that lid that drew your attention in terms of its condition physically?
It's brand new.
It's actually in pretty good shape.
Okay. Were there any cracks or wear on that?
None that I saw, and none that I see now.
Okay. And with respect to the handle areas on these totes, did you have an opportunity to look at them?
On the lid, I did not notice anything. On the totes themselves, though, I did notice some, what appeared to be some stress marks around the tote handles themselves.
What is a stress mark?
So it would be a deformation of the plastic. When you have, say, a force put on that plastic that is greater than what it's designed to handle, then you might see a cracking, you might see a split, or if anybody's ever overloaded a tote before, a storage tote, then you know what I'm talking about. But the handle showed some stress, what appeared to me to be stress marks.
What would cause that, if you can say? You said overloaded. I'm asking, I guess, just to be more clear as to what you meant by that.
Well, if the tote had something heavy in it, that could have caused it, or if it had a force placed against it, with a resistance on the handle itself, then that could have been caused.
Okay. And did you see that on both the black and the gray tote, or just one?
Just saw it on both.
You saw it on both. Okay. And you can put that away. I think you actually lost a tag over here.
Yeah.
No. Thank you.
Someone volunteered to get it for him. She's like, no, don't touch it. Don't contaminate.
Now, I believe... I apologize.
Go ahead.
I believe you testified earlier that you did swabbings on the totes. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. I swabbed the stains that were on the totes in order to test them, again, for the presumptive field test.
But you didn't do any other swabbings. That would have been the crime laboratory?
No. So, again, the field tests help us to determine the course of the investigation, the decisions that we need to make while we're out there. But if we have an item of evidence that's small enough or horrible enough that we can package it and take it with us and take it to the crime lab, then we'd much rather have the crime lab look at it than us. They have far more capability to process a piece of evidence in a laboratory setting than I do beside the road.
Okay. And so with respect to the other items that you recovered, I'm going to turn your attention to the cleansing wipes. Do you have those here with you today?
I do.
How were those packaged?
So there's several packages that contain wipes.
Before you show them, let's just go through what it is.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. And how many packages were there if you want to check?
Five different packages that contain cleaning wipes.
Okay, and with respect to the cleansing wipe from the knife handle that we've seen, did you package that by itself or with other items?
I packaged it separately. I removed it from the handle of a knife and packaged it separately.
Why did you do that?
Well, so again, we talked about stabilizing and preserving evidence as best we can. The chemicals that are in the cleaning wipe can be hazardous for things that we want to test for DNA later on. So the sooner we can remove that chemical from exposure to something that we want to test, the better. And so we went ahead and removed that in order to preserve any possibility of DNA evidence from the handle of the knife, although it may have been a little late for it, but we decided to at least give it a shot.
Would it be fair to say that no matter the condition of the crime scene, you still follow protocol?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So even though this crime scene, you don't know how long it had been exposed before the body had been dumped, essentially, did you still follow that same protocol?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, with respect to, I'm going to go through these numbers, CC 00794. I'm talking specifically, which cleansing wipe was that one?
This was the wipe that was wrapped around the handle of the Milwaukee knife.
Okay. And is that exhibit, the material itself that it's packaged in, do you recognize that?
I do. This is the bag that I packaged it in.
Do you recognize your handwriting on that?
I do.
And at this time, I'm going to ask that this be marked as 1.8, Your Honor.
Yes,
May I approach?
You mentioned cleaning wipes, and I'm out here with my tech wipes.
Does it
down my
indicate
gear.
on that exhibit where you recovered that item?
Yes, ma'am. There's an electronic label that's generated as a result of its entry into our digital evidence system. There's also a handwritten label that I applied to the outside of the bag.
And at this time, I would seek to introduce, Your Honor, 1.8 into evidence.
Any objection? No objection. It's submitted.
I'm now going to turn you to CC 00795.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recognize that?
I do.
What do you recognize that to be?
This is the cleaning wipe that was denoted by placard number 3.
Okay. And was that found in the same vicinity as the wipe that you just described from the knife?
Right. This would have been over basically in the same location with the black tote and the knife itself.
At this time, I'd like that to be marked as 1.9. Is that in the same or substantially the same condition as when you submitted it to the crime laboratory?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you recognize your handwriting in that actual barcode?
I do.
I'd like to tender this exhibit, Your Honor.
Any objection? No objection. Submitted.
At this time, I'd like to turn your attention to exhibit number CC 00799. While you're there, 802 and 803. Do you recognize those 3 barcoded exhibits?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And what are those?
CC 00802 are the cleansing wipes recovered from the northwest corner of the intersection. These are some of the ones that would have been hanging from the tree.
Okay.
And then there were cleaning wipes that were marked by placard number 7 that are packaged with the barcode CC 00803. And the item marked with evidence property tag number CC 00799 contains cleaning wipes that I removed from the black plastic garbage bag that was marked by placard number 6 in the crime scene.
Okay. And at this time, Your Honor, I'd like to mark those as 1.10, 11, and 12 sequentially on 799, 802, and 803. 799.
It sounds like he did throw a bunch of what he used for cleaning. Just it might have been wind that carried it there. I mean, if he just like threw them out to get them away from the road, and they got caught in the tree. I don't think he like hung them from the tree intentionally.
Are those in substantially the same condition as when you put them in the packages initially?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recognize your handwriting on those?
I do.
And the barcodes?
I do.
At this time, Your Honor, I would seek to tender exhibits 1. I believe it's
10, 11, and 12.
10, 11, and 12.
Any objection? No. They're all admitted.
Thank you.
It's possible that he started disposing of things and then realized it was not as secluded an area as he thought and had to hastily complete it.
Now, when you put those wipes in there, would it be fair to say that they were already dry by then?
When I placed them inside those packages and sealed them, yes, ma'am, they were dry.
Okay. And so, only if you know, is it possible to determine if DNA is recoverable on that? Meaning, do you submit items of this nature for DNA analysis?
Not generally.
Why not?
It's been, there are some cleaning solutions that do damage or harm the potential for recovery of DNA from evidence.
Okay.
So we decided because the crime lab's resources are finite, and we just don't have the ability to test every single thing that we pick up at a crime scene. We want to start with the items of most probative value. So the cleaning wipes were packaged and preserved, but and submitted to the lab, but I don't believe they were tested for DNA.
Okay. If you had recovered DNA on another item, would that impact your decision of whether or not to test additional items?
It could.
Okay. How so?
Well, as I said, a lot of the answers to the question are it depends.
Okay.
So, if we were to find DNA on one item that was at one scene, we might want to test an item from another scene to determine if the same DNA was found. It just, again, it's determined by the needs of the investigation.
Okay. And can you look at CC 00793? The box. Do you recognize that?
I do.
What do you recognize that to be?
This is the knife box package, the fixed blade knife that we found at the first crime scene.
Can you tell the jury what is a knife box?
It's just a box that's designed to hold knives. Obviously, they present a safety hazard, so we put them in boxes like these to make sure that other people who are handling them know that there's a sharp object inside, but also to protect the evidence itself.
Okay. I'd like to mark that, Your Honor, as 1.13.
This is the knife that matches the one he purchased at Home Depot.
Do you recognize the handwriting on that exhibit?
On the 29th
Whose
of
handwriting
November.
is that?
That's mine.
Are there any additional tapes on that box from when you first processed it?
Yes, there are.
And whose would those be, if you can tell?
These would be from the lab.
Okay. Other than those tapes, is that in the same or substantially the same condition as when you processed it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And Your Honor, I'm actually going to seek to tender this subject to connection, obviously, with the crime laboratory.
Any objection yet?
Already submitted.
Your Honor, in light of that, I would like for that box to be opened, please.
You can.
They didn't object, so now we're going to admit it, even though it hasn't been. The crime lab will tell us something about that knife as well. Possibly blood. Possibly DNA. A new pair of gloves. I like the mic that's there on the witness stand. That is a Sennheiser shotgun mic. And now we are tipping even more. We're rotating. Holy smokes. That's crazy.
Can you publish that, please, Your Honor? If you can just remove that from the box, if that's possible.
The knife has been put right side up in the sheath. So you look at the little curve.
And
knife.
is the sheath that was recovered from the crime scene also present on that exhibit?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long is the blade on that knife, if you can tell?
6 inches.
It's approximately 6 inches.
Okay. And does the sheath cover the entire blade?
It does if you put it on the right way.
Okay. And that means it would be seated all the way to basically the hilt of the knife, is that correct?
Correct. In that position, it covers the entire blade. If I were to take it, flip it over, and put it back on, it's not going to cover the base of the blade.
What way did you recover it?
I recovered it like this.
With the blade inserted basically upside down into the sheath?
Correct.
Thank you. And is that, in fact, the same knife that you recovered on December 2nd of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
It's an insulation knife. It's a knife meant to cut insulation for for placing it in your home and your walls, like the Pink Panther insulation stuff.
Now, just so it's clear that they are here and with us, did you ultimately process the bugs from her leg in a fashion that they could be preserved safely?
Oh, here we go.
So I was not responsible for processing those. Special Agent Charge Lindsay Smith actually processed them.
Okay.
But yes, they were basically, for lack of a better term, rendered safe, preserved in alcohol and then sealed inside of a bottle. And then Dr. Mondor, I believe, sealed them inside his own packaging.
Okay. But you brought them here to court today?
I did.
Okay. And I'd like to just mark that for the purposes of this witness, Your Honor, so we don't have to go out of sequence later, if that's okay. And that would be 1.14. Do you have that here with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what kind of a container is that in?
This is a essentially a paint can that's unused, but it's sealed inside there. So,
Your Honor, I'd like to tender that subject to connection, obviously, from Dr. Mondor.
No objection, subject.
1.14 submitted without objection.
We're not going to look at those.
Now, here in the courtroom, did you bring with you the clothing that you had recovered from the scene?
I did.
Okay, and I'm directing your attention to CC00798. Would that bag contain all of that clothing that you recovered?
It did not contain all of the clothing from the scene. It contains the clothing that was recovered from within the black plastic bag that was found at the intersection near where Mindy's torso was found.
And which items would those be?
The clothing items that were removed from the black garbage bag include some underwear, a camisole top that's been either cut or torn into two pieces, and then a torn dark blue shirt that's long sleeved.
Okay. And that item that was in there as the camisole top, you said that that was cut, is that correct?
It appeared to be either cut or torn, yes ma'am.
Okay. But it was in two pieces?
Yes ma'am.
Okay. And again, was there any clothing on any portions of the body?
No ma'am.
I'd like to have
There
this
were none
marked.
on any of the portions that I was involved in the recovery of.
Okay. I'd like to have this marked as 1.15.
The knife that was shown earlier is for sale for about $16, $17 at most hardware stores. Is referred to as a insulation
Do you recall
knife.
the condition that the underwear was in when you recovered it?
Yes ma'am. They had some reddish brown stains on them, but they were also soiled, and they were either cut or torn as well.
Okay. And did you do anything with those clothing items? I know you said you used a drying rack. Were those also items that were placed in the drying rack?
Yes ma'am. They had to be dried before they could be packaged properly.
Okay. And with respect to that series of items that are in there, is that the undergarment that was cut as well?
Yes ma'am. The panties?
I'm referring to the underwear, yes,
The
the
underwear.
pants.
Yes ma'am.
Okay. And specifically, could you tell or did you do any field testing at that time on those items?
No ma'am. I felt at that point we had enough indication from the tests that we'd already done that we needed to limit the tests that we did to the clothing in order to preserve any additional evidence could be gained from it at the lab.
Okay. So would it be fair to say that sometimes you don't do any testing, you just send it off to the crime lab?
Yes, ma'am. We do testing on the front end to inform the course of our investigation. It helps us make investigative decisions about what we need to do next. But it's always going to be a best bet to send an item to the crime lab in order to have lab testing done.
And you did that in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. At this time, do you recognize the handwriting on 1.15 as your own?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that in the same or substantially the same condition as when you submitted to the crime laboratory for analysis?
Yes, ma'am.
At this time, I'd like to tender 1.15 into evidence.
No objection. Submitted.
Now, ultimately, I'd like to go back for just a moment to the initial recovery of her remains. You indicated that you had to get down into the ditch, essentially, to recover her. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Would it be fair to say that put you close to her?
It did.
Can you explain to the jury what decomposition is?
Yes, ma'am. So I'm sure anybody who's driven down the road and smelled an animal has been hit on the side of the road has noticed an odor of decomposition before. Decomposition starts at death, and there are numerous different processes that I won't go into, but it basically involves the breakdown of the organic tissues of the body, and that's a natural part of death.
Okay. And you indicated that there's a smell associated with that. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is it distinctive?
Yes, ma'am. Very.
Okay. Does that smell change depending on the stage of decomposition?
Yes, ma'am. Generally, it's less noticeable in the early stages. However, as it becomes more advanced and the smell becomes stronger.
Okay. And without being inappropriate, have you handled many decomposing human bodies?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you familiar with the different smells at the different stages of decomposition?
More than I want to be.
Are you able to advise this jury what the stage of the smell was in your experience?
So they don't have stages so much that I can define scientifically speaking. I can tell you that, and again, generally, the odor of decomposition is very mild to begin, and then as decomposition progresses and becomes more advanced, that odor becomes much more noticeable.
So in this case, portions of her remains were recovered on different days, correct?
Correct.
The torso, what piece was that?
And that was the first piece. Mindy's torso was the first part of her that was recovered.
Okay. And would you say that that was mild then, or an advanced smell?
It was mild.
Okay. So at that point, would that have made any difference to you in your assertions or your thoughts about your investigation?
Yes, ma'am. And generally speaking, the less advanced the state of decomposition we find remains in, the shorter the period of time we would consider them to have been either deceased or at least have been dumped there.
Okay. So as of December 2nd of 2022, the smell was not heavy?
It was not very strong, no, ma'am. The ditch was cool too, and generally temperature has a significant impact on decomposition rates as well. The cooler it is, usually the slower decomposition occurs. Same way your refrigerator keeps your food fresh.
Okay. And would the water in this case have affected her body in any way when you recovered her torso?
Yes, ma'am. In particular, we noticed that her fingertips, the skin around her fingertips was wrinkled in what we call a washerwoman effect. And that's the same thing you can see if you ever go swimming and you notice after an hour or two your fingertips are wrinkled. Your skin on your fingers absorbs the water, and as it does, it's going to buckle some as it swells. It's the same thing that happened here.
And with respect to blood, you've testified as to retrieving her torso, retrieving the leg, and finding some blood in Savannah at the residence. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's start with her torso first. Can you describe for the jury whether or not she was still bleeding at the time that she was recovered?
No, ma'am.
Can you explain to them what that means with respect to how you physically... I mean, she had open wounds, correct?
Right.
Was there any blood still coming from those open wounds?
No, we didn't notice any at that time.
And so, with respect to her leg, was there any blood pooled where her leg was recovered that you recovered?
No, and again, keep in mind she was on her back in water, in mud, so it would have been very difficult to tell if there was any blood coming out of her body or issuing from her body at that time, regardless. But I did not notice any, not when I was in the dish or even when we pulled her out later on.
And now going back to Savannah just for a moment, you showed us 2 images of where blood was recovered, or at least fluoresced, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is there any other blood inside the Savannah residence that fluoresced?
No, ma'am.
Obviously, there was the very light fluorescence, not on the photograph.
Right, the one that was on the wall that you didn't see in the photograph, but yes, the wall, the floor, the futon. There was a space in the bedroom on the opposite side of the house from the den on the floor that we did notice some fluorescence on the floor, but BlueStar reacts with iron, so there was some iron furniture in that bedroom, and we swabbed an area just in case and sent it to the crime lab for testing as well.
Okay. And with respect to that area, do you know if there were any findings of blood in that bedroom?
No, there were not.
Okay. So the only place that blood was found is on the back of that futon mattress, on the floor, and on the wall?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have any way of knowing how much blood was there?
No, ma'am. Again, a small amount of blood can be spread over a large area and made to look like a large amount of blood, especially in the quantities that we're dealing with. We're talking about blood that can't be seen by the naked eye, so but only detected by chemicals. other than what was on the futon.
And specifically, I'm pointing to 1.1 RR. May I publish this round?
Yes.
Do you see what I'm looking at?
I do.
Is that the saturation spot on the futon that you were referring to?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that all you had showing up on the back of the futon?
That was after the cover had been removed, but yes, that's what had appeared to soak through the futon and onto the mattress padding below.
Was this consistent with, if you can say, dismemberment?
I'm not a medical examiner, but there's more blood in the human body than that. So I would think not. But again, it's probably a better ME question.
But that's all the blood you found?
Yes, ma'am.
No objections to that question, even though he said he
Well,
was not expert in that area. They allowed him to pontificate. Let's see if that finishes.
Just so I'm clear, did you look everywhere in the house?
So, yes. So, as part of the process, we blacked out the entire house with plastic. Like I said, we covered over, the lights on the microwave. We made sure as much of the light was cut out as we could. And then we sprayed the ceilings, the walls, and the floor of every room.
In every room?
In every room.
And that's all the blood you found?
Yes, ma'am.
They fumigated with BlueStar.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Wow.
We have a recess.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, if you'll step out, we'll take 10 minutes.
Break number 7 or something. I don't know. Another 10-minute break. It is 4:11 right now. It's possible that the prosecution is done with this witness at this point. I think they're right near the end. He's introduced all the physical evidence that was found at the scene, as well as recounted the locations that her various body parts were recovered and located, with the exception, I believe, of her head, which we haven't got to yet. But it's possible that was done through somebody else. So let's see.
All right,
what happens.
court's in recess, 2 minutes.
We are in recess. Few minutes. Karen Nelson, I've been out in and out all day. How many places were parts found? Every part was separate. So if it was separate from the body, it was in a separate location, and we believe that there was 4 locations, one for each leg, one for her torso and arms, which were connected but barely, and one for her head, which was buried fully. What's up with the matching blue ties? Not sure. Maybe they got the memo. I'm whispering. I'm sorry. It's tough facts to talk about. I know that we try to have a lighthearted approach to some things that are heavy topics, but at the same time be respectful to family members and friends of victims who might be in the audience. So please don't be offended. We try to bring we try to be as respectful as possible, with the exception of greeners. I was dozing a minute ago. Barb tattles on me. I'm not dozing. I'm awake. I'm just nodding. I'm nodding is what I was doing. Tisha, this is something that's very difficult for me to wrap my head around. The actions that are taken in some of these cases, both in how they take a life and in what they do with that person's body afterwards, seems so far from what the values I hold that it's crazy. Hey, Mrs. Ari, how are you doing? Wonderful. Just came in for a notebook. Okay. They're breaking it done for the day. I think they're just breaking. We've got a 10-minute break. I think we'll probably go till 5. With them starting at 9. I think it's a 9 to 5, 1 hour lunch. That's my guess. A full day in court here. Yes, the trial just started today. How long since the case started? The prosecution believes that the victim was killed right about the last week of November, with her body being dumped on the 29th of November in 2 counties. We're talking a 3-mile, radius. 2 counties in a hunting preserve on the 29th of November. The date they have for that 29th, we're going to hear some testimony about this later on from an entomologist, a bug expert. They basically analyzed the bug activity on her body to determine how long it had been out there. So that's where we get those dates. Nodding and snapping while sitting up. I do it. No, I haven't told her. Although I've talked with her about it previously. Carol, it sounds like we had testimony that they recovered all her body, but we also heard in the prosecution's opening statement that the neck was either missing or damaged in such a way that they couldn't determine exactly what happened with the neck. So I don't know if there was a portion of her neck that wasn't recovered. That was my understanding, that some of that was missing, but it could have just been damaged badly. My eyes were also nodding. I was studying the inside of my eyelids. Will his past wives, if they're still alive, testify too? He has one wife that I think was current. We believe there might even be a couple kids. I'm not sure with which marriage that lines up with. But there's a possibility the first wife might testify, because the owing $1.5 million to the first wife may be a factor that the state tells as the lead up to the situation. Also check Facebook DMs. I will do that. Let's see, you said Facebook DMs? Are you talking about Messenger? Okay, there we go. Yes, Amber. Yes. If she's willing, that would be a yes. Barb, I heard that as well. That's where I got that information from the opening. But we did hear that they recovered all her body as well, which honestly I think is a good thing for the family. The idea that a portion of your loved one hasn't been recovered and is just rotting in the woods somewhere is heartbreaking. Let's see, you have a severe thunderstorm down there? Man, crazy. We have, for those that aren't aware, here in the Northeast, we have like some sort of weather disturbance just off the coast of North Carolina that may develop into a named storm if it hasn't already. And then it could also sort of backtrack and push back onto the coast. But even if it doesn't, it's sort of rotating and pushing weather up and down the coast, which could cause some severe flooding because it's basically parked in place. So that could affect even my area. So. Greeners. Potential interview. That's what we're talking about. They should offer free counseling for jury members that have to see these things. I agree, Brooke. I know that the jurors are given an out, and it's I think that the judge would honor their wishes more than in this sort of situation than anything else, where he knows how graphic the imagery and the evidence is. If a witness, if a jury comes in and says, I cannot, I don't do well with graphic pictures, I think the judge would look at that and excuse them for cause for that point, because if you don't do well in that and you're being forced to look at these, it could taint your view of the defendant, and it wouldn't be a fair trial for the defendant. But also, I just don't think you would force a juror to do that against their will. One wife was current. He did change his name, right? He changed his name for one of the marriages. So third wife was girlfriend at the time of Minnie's death. She became his wife between when body was found and when he was arrested. Law enforcement didn't know for months who the body was. We're going to hear about that and see some of the sketches they did as they talk about some of this. Let's see. I think they do offer post-trial counseling. That's awesome if they do. Karen, you're right. We don't have a cause of death because of the condition of the body, because of how the body was dismembered and it destroyed evidence is what happened. They don't know exactly. We do know that she had what they said 9 injuries to the head. One of which caused a small fracture in the skull. So that could be a factor. Obviously, the neck is as a frequent area to be looked at in a murder because that's how generally how people get choked or strangled. And also you've got some major artery work going on in there. If it was a knife that caused her death in the apartment, it seems the testimony we just heard right at the very end would go against that. Him saying that there's a lot more blood than that in the human body, and we checked the whole house. They fumigated the house with BlueStar. They filled the whole house top to bottom, walls, ceiling, floors, everything, and looked for more blood and didn't find any more. Flores is a lovely name for a storm. Is it a storm already? Is it a storm? Has it been named? Samantha Terry, Nicholas Kassotis' wives as follows. First wife is Heather, maybe a witness in the trial. Second wife, Mindy Mabane, she's the victim. A third wife is Samantha Colesmith, and still married. I'm not sure if they're still together or what that status is, but let's see. This is apparently going to be a trial where we get a lot of breaks. So we'll have to start planning on that. It just left the UK. We had Storm Flores yesterday, 125 mile per hour on the mountains. Whoa! That's a bit of a breeze. That'll blow those wild haggis just right into the ocean. Her next storm would be named Aaron. Great name. Does anyone know why he killed her? Gladys, we're going to get a bit more into the background of Nicholas Kassotis and what was going on. And when we do, that's when our counter with Jim McIntyre is going to start climbing from the 8 it's been sitting at for most of today. Nicholas was telling stories about Jim and Jim having money for them or being able to provide a large sum of money for them at some point. And I think that it was that story that he told that caused the judge to say, if that's the case, we're sentencing you, you have to split it with your ex-wife. She gets $1.5 million. But there was no money. So he owed that. It had been, adjudicated that he owed $1.5 million to his first wife, but it was never paid. So he was sort of on the run, according to the prosecution, trying to avoid being forced to pay or the consequences for not paying. But that might be one factor. Chris Wallace gifted a membership. Thank you very much. KLF, you are the winner. Congratulations. And first time winner. Love the pup pick. That's great. Thank you, Kale. I think I highlighted one of your comments earlier today. You had something insightful that I put on the screen. But welcome. Now you're there officially. You can chat to your heart's content out of slow mode. So wonderful. Amber's still doing some digging on this one. Appreciate Amber getting us in connection with documents and things that are important to this case. We did begin this morning by reading the the grand jury indictment and uncover the charges. There are a few items that he's alleged to have had. We haven't had the testimony yet about the green Ford Explorer, which he apparently burned to the ground. Coincidence? I think not, but possibly burned to the ground, and that was arguably the vehicle that was there at the scene. Let's see. This case is wild. It is. And it's gonna get wilder as it goes on. And I'm not talking about gruesome. It's heartbreaking how gruesome it is, right? That part is terrible and it's tragic. But some of the other facts and the story that goes around here is gonna get wild, and you're not gonna want to miss it. So it's gonna grow on you, I think. Let's see. Dexter, is the storm rolling up the Atlantic right now? Dexter's the name? Calling the storm Dexter. What can go wrong? Seriously. Did the movie theater, did Hollywood like pay extra money to get that name on the list? NHC is saying tropical storm right now, and his name is Dexter. Yay. We get some weather. Noah's taking sponsorships. How much does it cost to get a storm named after you? And does it cost extra if it's like a big one? I think you have to do it in advance, so you've got to like take your chances. Trixie says, am I getting a storm and don't know it? I'll have to check. We might have to check in with Weather Watch here later on in the week. But we know it's the season, right? This is the time when we get named storms. They've said it's going to be a busy season. So prepare for rain, at least. He married number 3 a few weeks after unaliving wife number 2. That always looks suspicious when it's a quick transition. Especially because they didn't know she was dead, right? That's got to be bad. Who's Jimmy McIntyre? Great question. Jim McIntyre, we've got the counter. He's been named 8 times in the trial so far. We're going to hear a lot more about him as the trial goes on. Probably, honestly, mostly in either cross-examination of a witness or in the defense case in chief. Because I believe Jim McIntyre is a fictional character in the defendant's head, who he blames for a lot of his actions. So we're going to hear some of these stories. We know the defendant's a liar. His own attorney has told us that. But we're going to hear some of these stories about Jim McIntyre and what he did. Melissa is on the list of the season's names. Wow. Multiple personalities? Possibly. We do know that the defendant and his current wife both enjoy writing, I think, short-form horror stories for Reddit. The wife might be a little better at it than the defendant. Laura, she's like, yeah, I wasn't thinking it would go there. But yeah, we try to count something with every trial. We try to make it not offensive to a certain person, to any one person, but that will be...
Yes, sir.
Ooh, there's a nice camera. Look at that. PTZ Optics, pan-tilt zoom. That's the Move SE 4K. Great camera. I happen to have the black version of that. It's mounted upside down, which is one of the approved mounting procedures, and they're using an SDI connection. Nice. Power over Ethernet. That's why we've got the 2 cables. They could actually just use the 1 cable with Ethernet and run NDI from that camera. But, all right. I like tech. It's a good camera. It's one of my best. So, I feel like we're being spied on. And wait till the zoom moves and that little iris, the little circle, zoop. It's pretty funny. I like the OnlyFan better. It's good. It's the only camera. I believe this camera we're looking at is a court camera, not a view we get. So I think this is because of the installation, because it's got the switches and the cables connected, I don't think that's the pool photographer. Rarely do you see a pool photographer with an installed camera like that. So this would be the court's own system for like when they run Zoom court or something like that. Judge is here, possibly reading chat. I did need this break. It woke me up a little bit. Jury's coming back in. I'm a bit of a techie. I like it. Ceiling Dion. Oh, snap, Sharon. I don't know when we last heard from the victim. We might hear from some family members, particularly her parents, who believed that she was pregnant and receiving medical treatment for something. We heard that briefly, but haven't heard from the parents specifically yet.
All right, everyone, please be seated. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I've just conferred with counsel, and it's we've covered a lot of ground today, and we don't know how long the cross-examination may take of this witness. So in light of the fact that it's 4:30, we've got some weather issues outside, we'll go ahead and excuse you for the day. Please abide by the court's previous instructions regarding access to media. Please don't watch, listen, or try to find out anything about the facts of the case. Again, you cannot talk to anyone about the case. Please abide by those instructions, and we will see you tomorrow morning at about 8:45. Thank you, and have a good evening.
Barb, they did say in the opening statements that he said she was 8 months pregnant, but I don't believe that was true. I believe that was a story they told. Let's just, we'll sit tight and listen for just a minute, just to make sure that they're not going to do anything after court here if they have any work or something to argue over. But we might be done here. Yeah, we don't believe that she was actually pregnant. Just recognize that they did an autopsy. They did have her body. They recovered her body, and so they would have, if she was pregnant, I think there would be additional charges. What are we waiting for? Who's talking to who and why? Oh, mini bailiff has come up to carry him away. I think we are done. We're done. All right. What a day. What a day. Is Mrs. R.A. here? I don't know if she's here. Has to be his mom and dad sitting behind him. Could have some support there. As in fiction, they created the stories. Yes, that's my belief. I believe you're going to hear Jim McIntyre. You're going to hear Jim McIntyre a lot. I've called it. I think it's going to be over 50, possibly even 75 mentions of Jim McIntyre during this trial, mostly towards the tail end. But I think once it starts being mentioned, it's going to get more and more and more. Does this man have children? We're still doing some digging on that. I think maybe a couple. I don't know with which wife. So we're going to try to find out. Yes, the defendant was JAG at one point. You'd think as a JAG lawyer, he would know better than to be Mirandized and waive the right to an attorney and just speak to the police, but he did. And we're going to get to hear that. We're going to get to hear him as he is informed that, yes, we understand you did have your GPS turned off on your phone, but did you know we could track your car? And it drove to the scene where we found her torso, on her legs, on her arms, or on her head. We're going to see that. We get to watch him find out what they have on him, and it's going to be wild. All right, thank you, Tony. Appreciate your help today, especially on this one as well, doing some help for us on the back end on this case. Red Pen, welcome, congratulations, a brand new mod. She's a new mod on this channel. She has been a moderator for us on the Top Mark Media channel, which is my parent company, for over a year, and done a fantastic job over there. She really is great, and we're so excited to have her join us over here. Melissa, this is a rough case. I think that once we get past some of these descriptions, the tragic way her body was found, once we get past that, I think you will find some of the fact pattern fascinating and interesting. So hang in there, or skip a little bit and then come back. We can summarize it for you if needed. I think you'll enjoy it. All right, Top Mark is the incubator for new mods. Yeah, it is. Let's see. Top Mark is a sponsor. Yeah, they don't pay well. Anyway, I think that's it. Did I miss anything or anything we need to cover? Yes, the original story was he told that Mindy passed away from pregnancy complications. That's what he told the third wife. They found the pregnancy to be false. Fun fact, R.A., Nick Whitney from the Maya trial is also a practicing JAG. Yes, we really liked Nick Whitney. We really liked him. That was an amazing trial to watch. Civil trial, but amazing trial. Red Pen, thank you so much. I appreciate you accepting. How are we already done for the day? It is almost nearly 5. We're getting there. All right. Amber has given me the script, so I have to read it. Tonight when you go home, please hug the people you love, smile at someone to make their day just a little bit better, and please stay safe. Till we go live again tomorrow morning. We're starting, the court starts at 9. We'll probably start about 8:45, maybe 8:30, because it's a heavy court. Because this trial has some really heavy facts in it. I'm going to be trying to interject maybe some short, funny, or interesting, or lighthearted little court occurrences that are happening in the courts across the country as we speak. So if you see one of those, be on the lookout for it. Just text me on the burner phone. We'll see if we can grab it and watch that maybe first thing in the morning. Maybe we'll watch something like that in the evening, just so we can have a break from just some of the heavy facts that we hear all day. We call it a palate cleanser, and then we'll be able to move on and continue with the trial. I could sing. I'm not that good. You know that. I sang before. Josh says, wait, I have a palate cleanser for tomorrow. Sounds good. You guys be good to each other. Have a great day. It's been wonderful. We'll see you all in the morning. Bye-bye.